Chasers family.
Don't miss the great savings with the Omaha Storm Chasers on $2 deals days presented by Pinnacle Bank. Every Thursday, you can get berm tickets and select concessions for only $2 each. Also enjoy $2 domestic beer cans and small Pepsi products. Find more daily specials at omahastormchasers.com.
Everyone get on your feet, stir up the Storm family.
I'm Omaha Athletic Director Adrian Dow, and I want to introduce you to 3 Omaha schools that are playing a vital role in keeping our community strong. We serve nearly 600 pre-K through 8th grade students, most of whom come from disadvantaged neighborhoods. These students receive a values-based education with the family support they need. I'm a proud member of the Q's Fund Board, which supports the Q's school system. To learn more, go to Q's Schools, that's CUES schools.org.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
1620 The Zone.
Brunson to the left sideline. Draws Robinson on a switch. Takes some baseline. Tries to come uphill a bit. Step off the paint. Shoot on the fade and scores. Ties the game at 93. Timeout, Miami. Brunson steps right for 3. Rattled it home. Stepped right of another screen by Isaiah Hartenstein.
Hartenstein's got fingerprints on all the plays, the big plays, doing the dirty blue-collar work.
Reeves dribbling, driving toward the basket, gives it to LeBron. LeBron around a pick from Vanderbilt. LeBron now turns left, shoots a 2-point short, rebound, 18, up and in, 30 for Anthony Davis, along with 19 rebounds. Here is D'Angelo Russell to the rim, puts it up and in. Lakers by 2.
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
And gentlemen, start your engine!
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome in a Hump Day edition of Mornings with Sharp and Handley. You know, we're all sports fans here, and when you invest time or money into your particular team or an event, you want to get rewarded. Don't you guys, would you rather see somebody succeed or fail? Like when you're driving on the interstate, do you get excited when people are going 85 with you, or do you get excited when you see a wreck and so you slow down and watch it? Are you into failure? Are you into
That's a good way to put
failure, or are you into watching success?
Success. Oh, I hope someone's hurt in that.
As much as I'm drawn to failure, I'd rather see success.
So, like with our sports, I was thinking about this because last night, I think if you are a fan of the National Basketball Association or basketball in general, you got rewarded. Like you got like a gift from the National Basketball Association last night with 2 games. So I love, like in our business, we always look for failure. Like failure sells.
Right.
Okay. It's the TV business. If it's
I learned that when I started.
If it's red, it leads. Okay. If there's a death and murders and all that kind of stuff, you put it in the A block and people want to watch that kind of stuff. But in our business, usually in sports talk, not necessarily, this is probably, we're a really nice, lovey-dovey market for the most part. But bigger cities that have professional sports, let's always look for the negative. Okay. We don't want people to succeed because that's too good. It's
boring.
The adage of, hey, if the team that you're covering is winning, the ratings are going to be better. Well, actually.
So in Boston, yes, that's been.
But actually, in the biz, when a team that you cover is doing poorly, the ratings are pretty good.
Yeah.
But I love, maybe not a huge hyperbole guy, but anybody that's hyped, when they do follow up and they meet those expectations, either a player or an event, I get really, really giddy. Like Tiger Woods, LeBron James, for the most part, Bryce Harper. Okay, guys that were on the cover of Sports Illustrated were hyped early in the career and have, for the most part, gone above and beyond.
Yeah.
So last night, you have 2 games, and one game involves the team that I root for, and unfortunately, Jimmy Butler didn't play. And then you have the late game that you just heard the highlights from in the Lakers and the Warriors. I would say that both of those games, if you invested in the time yesterday, like you adjusted, we were talking yesterday about sleep, you adjusted your schedule so you could stay up past 11 o'clock to watch the Warriors and the Lakers, you got rewarded. I feel good today because my investment as a sports fan, I was rewarded with a game, especially the late one, that lived up to its billing and also probably exceeded it because I love that you have two different styles of play. I thank you, sports world. Thank you.
If it wasn't the Warriors as the opponent, when LA's up by 12, that's when I might have said, cool, going to bed.
Like, we're good here.
But it was the Warriors. So you knew that would probably not be a wise decision. And it was fun down the stretch. The Knicks Heat game, a little earlier in the night, so you could take that one in. Also a good one. And if you watch a little hockey, you saw a historic performance that was
Seattle-Dallas, the first period just ended.
And Pavelski with 4 goals, but
no hangovers.
Unfortunately, your team loses. I mean, that was insane.
In Toronto, it's here we go again.
Well, anybody who saw how he got knocked out in the first series to come back, 38 years old, almost 39, by the way. Go 4 goals, and then that effort is not enough. Like, there's a lot happening last night.
Yeah, but didn't you think in the Warriors-Lakers game, you got rewarded?
Oh, yeah.
You had a furious start to that game, and then you had, as you mentioned, the Lakers were up big. The Warriors were down actually 14, and then they scored 14 straight.
Yeah.
Curry's not playing great. He didn't play well through the first 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden he started to cook in the fourth quarter, and the game comes down to essentially, the final shot, Jordan Poole, who missed on a 3. But that game, I turned it off, and it's one of those late night viewing this time of the year with the playoffs where you can't go immediately to sleep because you're like, man, what did I just see? I love that. I can't wait till Thursday for game 2. So I feel as sports fans, when we build something up and we get rewarded, we should appreciate it even more. And I did last night watching, especially that game, but a whole night of basketball.
This also means you didn't roll over on your remote and you got a normal night's sleep.
Kind of. The basketball is really good right now.
It is.
That's what I'm saying. If NBA is kind of hit or miss in this town. I think there are more NBA fans in Omaha than you would be led to believe. They just are not super vocal, but this is a good NBA town. I mean, we like basketball. We like all levels of basketball around here. Okay? So the NBA right now is in a very, very good spot. And last night's both games, one was a little bit more aesthetically pleasing than the other. If you like a tug of war basketball compared to some differing styles of two GOATs that are playing. The basketball, I'm just telling you, the basketball is really, really good. We're going to talk a lot about basketball today because Nebraska got a pickup in a Nebraska kid.
What hair, too. Jealous.
So welcome in, everybody. It's a Wednesday edition, Mornings with Sharp and Handley. There's Nick, Jimmy, and I'm Gary. A little bit later, Ed Service will drop by. Creighton has a big weekend this weekend at home down at the Chuck where they play Xavier. They have a half-game lead atop the Big East in this strange year. So Ed will join us coming up at 9, and then Brandon Vogel stops by at 9:40. Now, I said at the end where you cringed a little bit there. You were not impressed with the Jordan Poole attempt.
The last 2 possessions. And let me ask you, Clay and Steph were on the floor, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But why was you have a little when I said the last shot by Jordan Poole?
Well, the last shot, there was still plenty of time for him to maybe find a guy that I would maybe rely on a little bit more to take a shot of that magnitude. Nothing against Jordan Poole, but when you have Clay, when you have especially Steph, and you mentioned Steph but they're at the end of the game. They're in the second half. Big part of that run as well. Clay hit a big shot as well during that 14-0 run. But the previous possession, too, that was the one I took more exception with, where you are driving to the lane and you put up an absolute wild shot. And it was just ill-advised. There was time left. It was as if they had maybe 3 seconds left on the shot clock, and, he gets into the lane and just heaves that thing up. You can see that Steph is starting to break away. Clay was an option. I don't even care if those guys maybe had just a minute amount of space. That shot in that moment it had to be maddening if you're Steve Kerr. And then the final possession there when you're trying to get that shot off based on where Jordan Poole was, where he puts that shot up, but also having other guys on the floor with time not down to 2 seconds or 1 second. I mean, there was, 8 seconds, 9 seconds, just between 9 and 8 seconds there when you put that shot up. It didn't seem like a collected Warriors moment at home where typically I'm expecting that ball to either go to Steph or Clay, or at the very least, if Jordan Poole's getting that, he's benefiting because those guys had it, and all of a sudden they kick out to a wide open Jordan Poole.
I think it's a make or miss league to begin with. So, and Jordan Poole had shot the ball really, really well. So he was on a little bit of a heater. What do you have, 6 threes?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get Steph. Did you see the play? I mean, Steph was double teamed,
yes.
So he had to get rid of it. And they swung the ball. And the only problem I have with the shot, and again, Jordan Poole's on your roster for a reason. Yeah, everybody like Curry or Thompson to take the shot. But you know what? The Lakers aren't dumb. Well, Lakers defensively, that's the reason why they're still hanging around, is they know who's going to take the shot. And so you got a red-hot guy. My only problem with the shot, again, it's a make-or-miss league. It's the small margin of error, is I know that he loves it in rhythm. So you get the ball in your hand and boom, it's going up. But he had time and he had space to maybe put the ball on the floor, a couple of dribbles, and get right on top of the arc and shoot it. So maybe a better look. I didn't have a problem with who shot it. It didn't go in. You're down 0-1 in the series.
Yeah, and maybe the distance is another part of that, is that could you have improved that shot? That's a fair point about the in rhythm, too. But as far as when that shot goes down, and maybe that's what I'm fixated on, too, is that shot, where he took it from, how much time's on the clock, and obviously result there. It's just, you're thinking, at least in my thinking, is, was there more time to create something? Either more high percentage near the basket, regardless of what you have open, who's on the floor, but just, it seemed like a desperation inbound with 2 seconds, get it, and then try to make one type of move, but you're still, 30 feet away shooting that one. I understand if there's 2 seconds left, but the amount of time, it felt like you could have improved at least that shot selection at the very least.
Make or miss league. I mean, if Poole hits that shot and Golden State goes on to win, Darvin Ham is getting asked after the game about why would you not defend Poole, who is starting to shoot it really well. My other thing about last night watching that game. So there's two takeaways watching that game. Is one, NBA coaches. Why do they even have a seat on the bench? Is there any NBA
nobody
coach
sits anymore.
that sits? Like Steve Kerr will sit for a while, but then he's up, and every coach, like NBA coaching and college basketball has become this way as well. It's the old Izzo effect of coaches can't stop coaching during a game. I mean, they are like they're running practice. Their motions on the sideline, all of the communication. Sometimes coaches are out on the floor. I mean, you would think Darvin Ham was ready to go defend Jordan Poole on that shot.
It's like, I got 2 minutes left in me.
But how would you react if your coach, college, NBA, heck, even high school, because for the most part, most high school coaches stand.
Yeah.
We used to have, you remember that old rule, you had to sit on the bench? He had the funny, hey, you got to give a coach a seatbelt. He got a coaching box, but he's got to be sitting.
The box is
that was
the
thing.
funniest
When I was growing up in Iowa, the coaches had to sit. Like you could not stand like the entire game. That's out the window. Coaches in basketball just overwhelm, and they coach every single possession.
Mm-hmm.
Now in the NBA, it's not as noticeable. But what if your coach didn't stand the entire game? What if your coach sat the majority of the game?
Like how Phil Jackson used to sit.
Yeah,
Probably
would
last
you
one
be
he used to
upset? Get involved. Come on.
Yeah. I would be.
Coach.
Like, he's giving up on me.
Nah.
Being lazy. I feel like
different time. It's like how the Tom Landrys of the world used to be stoic.
I feel like Doc sits a little bit more, doesn't he? Doc sits a little bit more. He's up. Rivers, not Sadler. Sorry, not Sadler. I mean, he's not as. I wouldn't say he's standing as much. Maybe that's just watching some of these recent games. But I feel like Doc he'll chill for a little bit.
Is there any coach that sits the entire game?
No, none that I know of. And if they are, they might have like, it might be doctor's orders.
I mean, you go to like the AAU And now I don't care if it's like second grade or third.
Oh, they're all
A
standing.
little bit in the younger, you got to be doing a lot of in-game coaching. Well, like, the high school level of AAU basketball, where there's a lot of coaches, whether right or wrong, think that they are Phil Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And so you overcoach the game. I just like watching the NBA last night, like Spoelstra and Tibbs and then Darvin Ham and Steve Kerr are guys that basically stand at half court. They stand at half court and they coach every single possession that you almost think they're on the floor. Now, with that said about
Tibbs
Darvin,
especially.
with that said about Darvin Ham, I think he's perfect for this Laker team. He is so even keel. He was an under the radar. Like I wanted Lou with the Lakers, and it didn't work out. And then they went to Frank Vogel. That, of course, didn't work out. But Darvin Ham is like there's no ups or downs. He's a chill guy. And with that franchise and with that superstar, and then a guy that is available here or there, man, he's perfect for the Lakers.
That's how he was as a player. Very chill, even keel.
I mean, really, really good hire by the Lakers. And, we were, 2 months ago, or with 10 games to go, the Lakers and the Warriors were below 500. And last night they're playing in the playoffs. The other thing that I took away last night that is not really new, but it just kind of hits closer to home. When you watch Curry play and you watch him play away from the ball, where the guy never stops. Okay, so he's always cutting, he's darting. I would not want to guard him. First of all, I would be going over to the sideline and grabbing the oxygen mask after about 2 possessions of trying to guard Curry.
It's like how Reggie used to run around all the time through screens. And
maybe I should back. Let's be honest. I couldn't guard Curry for a rotation. So
I couldn't guard you if you were stationary.
But
right
he is moving and he's darting and he's coming around curls and he's coming off picks. That is Tominaga. Like, we don't say,
no, it is.
Tominaga is the Steph Curry.
The movement away
of
from the
Japan.
ball. Yeah.
Just non-stop, trying to guard him.
Yeah.
Now Curry, of course, is a better shooter, but just the non-stop moving all of the time. And that's all I could think because they were starting to do a little ISO on Curry's movement off the ball. And I thought, man, that's Tominaga. If next year they should just do a Tominaga ISO cam and watch and also put like, what do you call it, pedometer on him to get his steps in to see how many steps he has during a game because he's always moving. Curry would be a nightmare to guard. And when he is cooking, he's great. He wasn't cooking for the first 3 quarters, and then he got rolling in the 4th quarter. But I went to bed last night after watching that game. I'm like, thank you, NBA. I worked my schedule. I took a quick nap. I got the workout in. I was all set. You know
it's
what?
A full day.
I didn't even make the transition from couch to bed during the game. I was like, this is going to be a couch game.
Productive Tuesday.
And I got rewarded. And I think we all got rewarded if you're a fan of basketball last night. So thank you, basketball gods. Can you do it again on Thursday?
See, you made me think of something, and you would have been in Lincoln at the time, I believe. Well, you would have been at UNL at the time. Do you remember this would have been 1990, late 90s, Creighton Prep coach Scott Hawk? Scott Hawk is a guy that we sort of nicknamed the Undertaker. From what I understand, I've never met him. From what I understand, the nicest guy, but he was about 6'6", 6'7". I might be underselling. He could be taller. He was one of the most imposing looking guys on that prep bench as the head coach and just had this very stern look on him. And so he never sat. But when he decided instead of sitting on the bench, he would just sort of kneel down, and he was still taller than like our head coach, who was like probably topping off about 5'8". And you want to talk about an impact of a coach on a sideline that you were just like, if a ball is going near that bench, I'm not going anywhere near it because I'm afraid of the guy. And from what I understand, like I have friends that went to prep and they said, oh yeah, he's awesome. But yeah, he looks like he has like this Undertaker look, and he was huge. He was imposing. And that was a guy that if he ever sat down, I still don't know if that would have made that whole like environment better, because that was about as intimidating as there was. And I know there's some really good, like TJ Pugh, who played at that prep for that prep team, and a lot of other guys who played for Scott Hawk would say like, yeah, they loved him, but oh my gosh, if you're an opposing team and you saw him, you're like, what the hell is this guy?
Well, there is a little bit of that part that I understand. It's the gamemanship.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mac, for example. Mac
another
is
imposing looking dude.
Imposing guy.
Yep.
And so if you're an official that is not familiar with Creighton, I mean, that can be, you immediately get your dauber up.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this early on. I noticed this there's a lot of smaller officials in the Summit League.
Mm-hmm.
Like it can be a little bit intimidating because even if you want to go talk to them in a just a friendly manner, you are much larger than them. So I get that part of gamemanship of being up on the sidelines. All right, welcome in everybody. Quick email here. So Ben writes in. Good morning, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
He says the Jordan Poole horrible shot. 8 seconds left, and Curry coming off screens. He needs to take that shot. Poole should have taken another dribble. Now, Ben does preface this email into the Equitable Bank inbox. I'm not a Jordan Poole fan. I think he has a horrible mind for the game. Extremely physically gifted, but a team killer with decision-making. Tough to play with guys like that.
So there's a bias. You're probably not going to like any shot he's going to put up then.
The math last night. Actually, Poole was part of the math. They hit 21 threes, and we're a plus 45 in that category. But the Lakers win, and maybe some people believe in the Lakers now. If you believe that the Lakers could win a championship with this collection of players.
If AD goes 30 and 23, sure.
No, they're still not going to win a championship, but I do believe they could win the series now. I'll give them that. You're not beating Denver.
LeBron's 38. They're playing better defense than they played all season, but they've been on like a really good defensively for the last month and a half. And Anthony Davis has shown up in the playoffs, and he was really, really good last night. I mean, Looney had no answer for him when he was trying to guard him. Then on the other end, every time Davis was the primary defender, whoever he was on, that person couldn't get off a shot. Then I said yesterday, D'Angelo Russell is an X factor.
Are we to believe D'Angelo Russell's like the guy?
Schroeder was a guy last night. So they have some intriguing pieces, but I also think they might be in a better spot because LBJ doesn't have to be the number one option.
Right.
So that when he turns it on, then it just adds to it.
Yeah, it's
and it's coming.
It's an ad. When he goes for a double-double and he's into the 20-point range, you're like, oh, okay. But he doesn't need right now, maybe, to score 30+. But it's a short turnaround, so we'll see what he's like on Thursday on that bad wheel and 38 years old. All right, you got the lineup. We'll talk a lot of basketball. We'll mix in some hockey as well because ESPN, somebody needs to call Bristol and say, hey, do you guys know you're carrying the NHL? Or who are you carrying the NHL for? Plus more on Josiah Alec committing to Nebraska. And Ndamukong Suh showed up. Going to be in town for the Berkshire Hathaway weekend. Him and Buffett are buddies. He decided to stop in Lincoln, and he looks small.
Oh, that mayoral election's bringing everyone home.
Hey,
I thought you were going to say the mayoral election is taking it out of everyone.
I would be curious.
He was deflated a little bit because of the stress of the election.
Hey, he's still we'll get into Sue. We're going to need a sports reference in the beatdown that happened in the mayoral election in Lincoln last night.
Like a game?
Like a
massive
62 to 24? What?
Oh, that wasn't very nice. You could have. I actually am surprised you didn't go with. What was it? The 2007 Kansas, Nebraska. What was that?
I mean, I was being nice.
Oh, okay.
There are plenty of Husker games to choose from. You can localize it.
Unfortunately,
it's actually evened up. But at one time, it was like 60 to 40% for the incumbent. And the race between Gaylord, Baird, and Geist. Which people in Lincoln that I know are very happy that is over, regardless of who your candidate is.
Yep.
Now they're taking down billboards in Lincoln, I would imagine.
And mail gets a lot thinner.
Yeah. All right, 31 past the hour. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley at 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Remember, no matter how you listen, it's still AM radio. 1620 The Zone.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 3.5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. RAMP.com/sports.
Were your golf clubs new during the Clinton administration? It's time, my friend. Hi, this is Dave Osted from Osted's Golf. Trade in your old clubs for a 50% trade-in bonus on new 2023 clubs. Get fit by one of the nation's top 100 fitters. Play the best new clubs, custom fit to your swing. Get a 50% bonus on your old clubs and make this your best season ever. Hurry, offer ends May 14th. See Osteds.com to make your fitting appointment.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 11th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let us handle all the details steps away on the south side of Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination. Blur Events takes care of all the work so you can enjoy the day.
Carrie, is this schedule the most updated?
There's a wedding season rush at Dr. Iona's dental practice.
You're fully booked this week. We can try and squeeze you in next Tuesday.
She needs a dental hygienist to unveil fresh smiles.
How long has 3 been under the UV light?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Creighton coverage on the Zone is presented by Berry Law. At Berry Law, we fight alongside those who choose to fight back. Call Berry Law at 402-999-7777 or visit BerryLawFirm.com. At Berry Law, we're in it to win it.
O'Reilly. Improve visibility and save $8 instantly when you pick up a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Bosch Icon premium blades can help you see better and drive safer. And our professional parts people will install them for you for free. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'Reillyauto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Congratulations, your button still works 2 days in a row.
It's amazing. And they fixed the microphone.
Whoa.
The big wigs come into the building and things get fixed.
Wow.
We are back.
Jim Smith, you can stay here as long as you want. We got other projects for you to work on.
Taking care of business.
Hey, looking in bad baseball start down there in the state of Missouri. So for everybody that's listening in Missouri this morning, baseball not great. St. Louis and Kansas City are now a combined 17-43. Cardinals got beat by the Angels last night. And then the Royals, who can't win at home, they're 7-23. And they got beat by a really good, Baltimore is really good. There's only 2 teams that haven't lost 10 games yet this year, and it's Tampa Bay and Baltimore.
Of course.
And Baltimore's, Lefevre had a wild stat last night. The Orioles are now 10-0 in first games of series. And they're really good offensively, and they've got Superman in the outfield and Cedric Mullins, who might have the catch of the year. But think about the Royals, who are really struggling at home. And there was a tinge of optimism this year because of the young core. It is May 3rd. School is not out yet. They're 7-23. They can't win at home. And before people start making like vacation plans or around here to that weekend to go down to Kansas City and catch the Royals, the season is already over.
I'm getting emails for cheap deals on suites.
Oh,
already?
Already.
Hey,
yesterday.
So here's another one. Jake Eisenberg, a friend of mine, former voice of the Storm Chasers, now radio voice of the Kansas City Royals. I have never, ever seen this before with a radio guy. Now, Jake is a little bit different because Jake is very active on social media. Denny Matthews does not have a Twitter account.
He's not on the gram.
But
Get at me on the gram.
But Jake is very active on social media, which is kind of rare for baseball broadcasters at the major league level. But Jake has always been involved in that world, and he likes conversation, interacting, and sharing knowledge. I noticed that he tweeted out yesterday, this is a major league radio announcer. This isn't a knock on Jake. This is just an observation on my part. He had a promo code for reduced tickets and parking. That's a major league radio announcer. He said, go to, they started a 10-game homestand last night. Grab your tickets, grab some parking, and use my promo code Eisenberg. And I'm thinking,
wow.
Ooh.
Not Heisenberg.
Ooh.
Eisenberg.
Oh.
Already.
7-23.
Mm-hmm.
If we hold out by August, I might be able to get a suite for $20.
I think by the 4th of July holiday, right before the All-Star break, I think you should.
Tickets in the Crafton draft.
It'll be pretty nice out there.
Come and watch the other team and your Royals.
Are we sure Denny's not on the gram? We sure?
You on TikTok?
Hey, there are people on TikTok that
on my For You page.
I didn't know Gary would be so much into TikTok as he is. So.
I don't know. If you're not on TikTok, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah,
Unless you must work for the federal government. We can't be on TikTok.
Well, I can't name names, but I choose not to comment on that accusation there.
But yeah, it's not good. Thankfully for the people down there, that's never too early. They can start talking about the Chiefs, because back in the old days, at least like when the Royals were bad when I was in college, the Chiefs weren't that good either. So it'd really get into some lean times. But
last night was like the microcosm of their entire season. I got up to a nice little start, and I wasn't watching the game, but I had the updates on my phone. And then I got the update that Mullins had made this incredible catch. So I started watching. And then you get the 16-pitch at bat, and the Orioles offense, which is really good.
Mm-hmm.
They put up a big crooked number, and that game is over. Then Salvi hits a home run. It's 11-7. Just 7-23. I didn't expect them to be great, and it's too bad because they're in a bad division.
Oh, it's a horrible division.
The Twins, by default, may win the division at the end of the year, but it's a really, really bad division.
Yep.
And to be really bad in that division, that's the double punch. But at least you're not the Oakland A's, who are
I saw the attendance last night.
So look up the attendance, what they had. So the Storm Chasers played yesterday afternoon at noon.
I got that.
They had a field trip day out at Warner Park. They play at 11 again today. They may have outdrawn the A's yesterday. So the A's played in a weird game where you had a Miller against a Miller, and they were dueling, throwing either a perfect game or a no-hitter through 6.
Yeah.
Seattle ends up winning the game. Ironically, after Miller was pulled for the A's, 100 pitches, and he had a no-hitter going, a former Royal comes in and gives up a 2-run homer, and Seattle ends up winning that game.
Oh, there we go.
But last night, so the A's drew 2,583 to a major league game last night.
Just barely beat the Storm Chasers at 2024.
Oh.
Had this been a night game, they would have gotten 3,000.
Man,
they might get more today because they have another specials why they're playing at 11 a.m. School thing.
That's a major league baseball game.
And there will be worse attendant games as we go on.
So in Major League Baseball in the last 20 years, there have been 5 times where a crowd has been less than 3,000. We're not taking into account the COVID year where nobody went to the games until you got to the postseason.
Except for cardboard cutouts.
5 times in the last 20 years where you've had 3,000 or less. They've happened in the last 2 years. They've all happened in Oakland. And you know what? Good for A's fans for not, and it's got to be tough because you've invested. And the drums aren't even in the outfield and in the.
I actually wondered that.
That's a great, and that's part. If you've ever been to that dump, that's kind of the unique thing is they got
the drums,
a bunch of drummers out in the outfield, and they aren't there anymore because essentially the whole fan base is boycotting. Good on them. I know it sucks. They're going to have your heart ripped out. You're going to have another team taken out of your city, and you're not going to get one back. And you have a guy that just recently bought the team, and he has no intention of staying or working with local officials. And probably there's a little bit of the local side that did not work well or find an option or whatever. And Major League Baseball is not supporting you either. But I'm okay. I'm okay with fans not going to support this guy's bottom line. It's got to be tough. Watch the games on TV, listen to the games on radio, but I'd have a hard time going in person. So when I saw that last night that they only drew 2,583, I was like, good. But Major League Baseball, you got to get them out of there.
Yeah.
You can't have a Major League Baseball game where it just barely outdraws a noon AAA game in Omaha, Nebraska. Hell, bring them to Omaha. We'll house the A's for a while.
Yeah.
Put them downtown. Would you kick the College World Series out to host a Major League team for a full year? Because a Major League team would not go on the road for that long when the College World Series would be here.
Ooh, I would say for the only reason I'm going to say no is because the fear of if they decided to renovate Rosenblatt Stadium, when that was at least discussed, is that you might lose it for a year and then you risk that year being away, another city having a chance to woo the NCAA, woo ESPN. I know Indianapolis was always the talk there that could happen. So for that risk alone,
never give them a chance.
No, but my gosh, that's not an easy answer right there.
In 92,
Because
the
they would support
Astros were gone for 26 days because they had the Republican National Convention there. It's the only time I've ever seen anything like that. You'd never see that today.
Yeah.
So, you essentially would be gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, could you do it?
2 weeks.
But Major League Baseball probably first would say, hey, let's put them in the minor league stadium in Las Vegas while we build the stadium that they're going to call home. But they got to get the A's out of there. That's an embarrassing look for baseball. But I'm okay with A's fans not showing up for the game.
Yeah, let's go for three digits.
Now, I will put it on the prediction board.
Ooh.
And maybe you're a worrywart because you're in Omaha and in the College World Series. College World Series is never leaving Omaha. Where would it go? Where would the NCAA get the same response to the College World Series that we give it in Omaha? Either those of us that live here year-round, pay taxes, drive by an empty building that only houses 35 events a season,
right?
Okay, and that's in our community. Nowhere else would they be able to pull that event off like they do year after year. Maybe 1 year, maybe two, but not like we do in Omaha. So whenever I hear that, I roll my eyes and I'm like, come on. The NCAA would be cutting their own wrist if they ever moved out of Omaha because nobody else could do the College World Series consistently like we do in Omaha with the infrastructure, the volunteers, the non-for-profit organization that runs it. So whenever I hear that, I'm like, that's not going to happen. Not going to happen. NCAA, you'd be ridiculous to do that, and they're smart enough that they would not do that.
I would hope not.
No, you're an Omaha guy.
Call me a worrier.
Yeah.
Call me a worrier. Oh, God, how's it going out there that year that it's away? Anything going bad? Hopefully. Having some problems getting the event running smoothly, hopefully. Come on back. We're right back here next year. Yeah, I don't. You're probably right, but I don't like that risk. Even for the smallest percentage chance that would actually happen. But to the other side of your point there, the city would light up. Like, you guys want to come here for a year? Hell yeah, we'll embrace Major League Baseball.
Everybody else are there. There'd be like the good discussion of, is Omaha good enough to support that many dates? We are really good with events. We love our events. We love, it pops on the calendar. We're used to it.
True.
But would
81?
Would we do April through September? When anybody talks like the NBA putting a franchise in Omaha, they go, well, how many Fortune 500 companies do you have? And then do you think with a strong college basketball program in the city, you would have enough people that would support an NBA team for 41 games?
And that is a much bigger challenge than even when people talk about the small professional success story of bringing pro football when we had I'm saying the Mammoth, but the
Nighthawks.
The Hawks, thank you, the Nighthawks. You're talking about a handful of games. And you were also, it's like the perfect storm because Rosenblatt had just played its last baseball game at that stadium. We knew the future of that stadium. And it's like, hey, we're going to play some football there too. So you don't have to say goodbye to Rosenblatt just yet. And we've got football. And there's some recognizable names. But also the amount of games that were going to be played as opposed to, having a homestand and having that many games. especially during the early part of the baseball season where the weather is not always fantastic, that would definitely provide a lot more of a challenge. I think some people initially do believe in. So I think it's a great point when you exceed, say like a 24 game home schedule and you start looking into months and months and having multiple games during the week, could you sustain the overall popularity and support that you could in, say, a much smaller type of
And
schedule?
especially, Nick, if a franchise like that wasn't winning.
Right.
Like, what if when the Sonics relocate to Oklahoma City and the Thunder aren't winning
Yeah.
right away?
They got lucky with what they had.
Yeah, even Charlotte. Charlotte had a good start where they were winning and they had some stars.
They sold out a 24,000 seat arena.
Yeah, so people bought in, but if you get off to a sluggish start and people go the one time and they're like, this was fun, it's kind of expensive.
Yeah.
But if they're winning, they'll come back. All right, we're on attendance watch. So the Storm Chasers play at 11 a.m. today.
Yep.
Out of Warner Park.
Get your tickets on sale now.
It is an education day.
Yep.
We are on attendance watch
Be
because
loud.
they're
then.
gonna have a really good crowd. The official score is going to be really, really good.
76 degrees
You
today
know
with
him?
light wind.
You know that guy, huh?
Seattle, Oakland play an 8:40 Central game. We'll check back tomorrow. Are you ready to make a bold prediction that the Storm Chasers will outdraw the A's today?
I'm in. Put it
Yeah.
on the board. Storm Chasers outdraw.
It was that close yesterday. Yeah, I think.
They will draw well
Especially with-
today because of the event
Especially with the education day going on.
and the weather.
All the area schools.
No
making their way
wind,
in.
people
Yeah,
are
it's gonna
coming
be
back
gorgeous.
outside.
You might actually get a decent walk up. You might get some early lunchers that decide to delay their arrival back to work. So sure.
So the person that's in charge of kind of announcing the attendance, is interacting with the show. I believe his name is Marte.
Hey.
Good morning, Marte.
Morning, Prez.
He says Creighton is our NBA team, like UNL is our NFL team. And but and he's got it from two angles here in this sporting community. You've got minor league baseball, what has been entrenched here for a while, and it is a known commodity. When you go to watch the Storm Chasers, you're going to have family affordable entertainment. You're gonna feel safe. You're in a really, really nice ballpark.
Yeah.
It's a convenient place to watch baseball. Then you have soccer, which is maybe a little bit more intense because the regular season results matter. I'm not saying winning the International League doesn't matter, but when you're dealing with Major League Baseball, you're not going wins and losses. Like when you leave the ballpark, when you go to Warner Park, have you ever left and remembered right away if the Storm Chasers won or lost?
I can't say the majority of the times I've remembered that.
So they're doing their job.
Yeah.
Because it's all about the experience with
Exactly.
minor league baseball. Okay. Did you come here? Did you have a good experience? Are you going to come back? It's not, man, the Storm Chasers lost and I don't know if I can go to sleep tonight. But like Union Omaha is a little bit different. Union Omaha is big wins, losses. They have a lot of draws for some reason. I always see they're drawing or whatever they call it in soccer. But the results on the field matter a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to balance in the soccer community where they're trying to get a state-of-the-art soccer complex, and the Union Omaha faithful, they are loyal. I mean, they're home, they're away. If they're not going to away matches, they're getting together here in town and watching it. So that support, can you go 5, 6, 7,000 a match? But Marty brings up a good point. And remember, our good friend Jason Derulo is bringing women's professional volleyball to Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
Will women's professional volleyball in Omaha be successful? If they pay their bills, they're good in the community, they have a good group around them that is familiar with Omaha, could women's pro volleyball work in this city?
Yes. And I want to go back to the football example. And I know why you brought up if you are good in the community and pay your bills. Paying your bills is a big part of that. I always felt with the Nighthawks, and I never knew how to pronounce the guy's last name, the commissioner of that league, Huey or Hayu. He was somehow linked with Nevin Shapiro, oddly enough. But the amount of expectations that they put into that league and the unrealistic expectations that they thought that they could achieve from a financial standpoint, in my opinion, already set them up for failure. So if you're looking at this most recent example with professional volleyball, what are your expectations? What are your ticket sales? What are the costs? And what do you hope to get out of that first year? Are you setting these monumental goals that are just unattainable? Or are there modest goals achievable and your overall financial goal out of the whole thing is pretty much just don't be in the red that much, as opposed to really turning a whole profit? Look, football, volleyball, the sport, the cost of it is day and night. I understand that. But I always think it starts with what are the expectations of the owners? What are the expectations of each group that is backing this? And if they have reasonable expectations, because you and I both know there's a volleyball audience here, how are you entertaining them? And this goes back to what Marty and his group does so well, because that's a great question you bring up. How many times do you walk out of Warner Park remembering what the result was, unless it was one of those exciting, walk-off moments and everybody kind of has the adrenaline going? But more than likely, you had a good time of the game. You are greeted when you come into the ballpark, but you're also told goodbye and handed something on your way out.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel like the experience, win or lose, isn't staying with you as you go into the vehicle. You're looking at your son or your daughter, your wife, your friends, and saying, that was fun. We had a good time. And I think for, the volleyball part of it too, or any type of pro sport, like, to me, that's a good model to have, because again, you're putting on an experience, but you're also not just jamming the almighty dollar down everyone's throat and having these unrealistic expectations when it comes to, Marty and the Omaha Storm Chasers organization, Royals before, have been in the community for decades. But when you're new and something's new and you're trying to get people hooked on it, it starts with just what do you as a group define as success, and is it reasonable?
No, I think the WNBA would go over well here.
I agree.
It's in an off season around here.
Summertime.
Yep.
You
Indoors.
you don't have 41 commitments for dates. Women's basketball from Creighton to Nebraska is extremely popular. We know that women's sports in this state do well. You know that they would have a marketing. The WNBA has a marketing plan for families, young kids, that kind of would go over well here. Now, I know it's a lot to get into that mix, and you look at the cities that they are in. There's not really a lot that kind of fit the Omaha model.
But Tulsa has a team.
But I think the WNBA would do well here.
I'd agree
if they ever decided to do that. But there's a lot of things that I would like to bring here in sports. I'd like to bring the big three here.
Yep. Why? Like, as far as Omaha.
Oh, I thought you were asking why the big three. I was like, I get it.
No. But as far as Omaha,
because it's a great basketball community. I think it's a one-time event. It would be a weekend. It'd be some stars. It'd be like a thing to go to.
People would come.
Look at how the TBT did.
Yes.
When they put it at Sokol the one year that was here, and I think there's plans to bring it back.
Yep.
People like basketball.
Yep.
People like basketball year round in this city. I mean, I know we're a state that when you say Nebraska, you go, oh, football. We're pretty good basketball. I mean, look at
Omaha once had an NBA team.
2 kids in the class of 25 that, on back-to-back days got offered by Nebraska, and one got offered by Creighton yesterday as well. So we like basketball around
that's
here.
True.
Oh, all right. When we come back, we will get into offers. Am I going to say this out loud, that the basketball talent in Lincoln for high school is better than the basketball talent in Omaha? Oh, maybe. Plus, we're gonna circle back to Mr. Sue, who was back on campus yesterday, because the picture that was tweeted out of him and a Nebraska football player, I wasn't as much enamored with Sue. We'll get into that when we come back. One of the books, another one to go. Ed Service a little bit later. Creighton's got a huge series down at the Chuck this weekend. They are in first place in the Big East on May 3rd and are in a good spot with UConn at the end of the regular season coming here. Boy, that would be a huge series. But they got a big series against the Muskies this weekend. Also, Brandon Vogel on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a minor delay from 192nd to 186th on Center. Then on L Street, be prepared for a little bit of slowdown from 102nd to 96th. And westbound along Highway 370, be prepared for things to slow down quite a bit near Gold Coast Road. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Nanfito Heating and Cooling.
Don't sweat it. Air conditioning season is coming, and Nanfito Heating and Cooling, your Rude Pro partner, will get your unit cooling you off this summer. Residential installation, repair, and maintenance on all brands. Schedule your appointment now at nanfitoheatingandcooling.com.
The cigar enthusiasts at Hearth Cigars and Pipes are a pretty diverse bunch of humans. Some enjoy an adult beverage or two, others pass the time with a competitive yet friendly game of dominoes. Still others enjoy shooting some pool downstairs, while more than a few are just satisfied with each other's company. The common thread with all of them is the awesomeness that is their favorite cigar from the humidor. Hearth Cigars and Pipes, just off the 48th Street exit from I-680 at the corner of Mormon Bridge Road and McKinley, and at hearthcigars.com.
Start your engines.
Joe's Indoor Karting in Council Bluffs is off the charts crazy. Joe's Karting is fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing action at over 40 miles per hour. The only speed restriction on these karts is how good you are. Joe's Karting is located just a couple of blocks north of Bass Pro Shop and directly east of AMC Theater in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Go watch a movie. Come race at Joe's. Planning a bachelor party, graduation party, or just a night out with friends? Go to Joe's. Remember, Joe's Karting is your place to race.
Hi, this is Kathy Kenoyer with Kenoyer Garden Center. The beauty and color of spring is in our greenhouse, featuring thousands of gorgeous hanging baskets and hundreds of varieties of Kenoyer-grown product. Come in and talk with our family of employees who will help you find what you're looking for. Whether it's home decor, annuals, perennials, shrubs, tropicals, or vegetables, we have it all. Kenoyer Garden Center is located between Highway 370 and Cornhusker on 66th Street in Papillion. Open daily, 9 to 7.
At Kenoyer Garden Center, everybody's got a green thumb.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. What, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Harris Council Bluffs presents Brett Michaels, Saturday, May 20th at Stir Cove. Get tickets and check out the full entertainment lineup at stircove.com. Stir Cove is an all-ages venue.
NASCAR is known for fast cars, roaring action, and big bucks. The Nebraska Lottery's NASCAR Powerball Playoff promotion features all three, especially the bucks. Until May 30th, buy a Powerball ticket with Power Play or Double Play, enter the voucher number, and you could be one of 15 winners of $1,000 and the chance to win a VIP trip to the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Weekend. Enter today. Powerball top prize odds 1 in 292 million.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Are either one of you guys fans of Adele?
This is going to be a really, I don't know how this is going to go over.
They're among friends.
Tad overrated. Excuse me? Tad overrated. Not a big fan.
I'm indifferent.
Yeah, I guess I'm not like, it's not like I don't like
But
it.
I wouldn't call it overrated.
But people, okay, maybe overrated is not indifferent. I'm indifferent. People lose their mind over.
She did sing a
Adele
mean
shows.
Bond theme.
And I'm just like, all right, cool. And I'm just, yeah. So, no, I'm indifferent.
Okay. So she had a power move. And, I kind of like sometimes to feel like these celebrities are just like little old Gary Sharp or little Jimmy Chavez or Nick Hanley or anybody else that's out there. So Adele, who now we know you will not be taking your wife to
No, see
any
that
Adele show, or like when she was in Vegas.
We have a
on
concert
Residency.
announcement.
I mean, people were
Yeah.
crying because they couldn't go. Like, I that's a show that I would encourage my wife. Hey, you know what? That would be a good one to go with your friends or with your mother.
You're on the record. You hated that James Corden's last ever carpool karaoke was Adele. She's an extremely talented singer. She has, gone through all of the life challenges that we
Yes.
do. We have kids.
Yeah.
We get divorced. We lose weight.
Mhm.
And she's in a really good spot right now. She also
Rumor
likes a
has
little
it she is.
sports. Well played. She's in a really good spot, and she likes basketball. So I did not see this at the time, but it was shared on your favorite and my favorite forum, TikTok, yesterday.
Yes.
So this is why I can relate to her, and I think others can. So she's at the Laker game the other night when they closed out the Grizzlies and closed out Dylan Brooks' career in Memphis. So the camera is on her, and you see what she does, and it's very much a power move that I learned of all the years of going to church is to do a closed mouth yawn.
Oh, those are the worst.
No, if you can pull it off.
Can you pull it off though?
Yeah. I learned because I went to church. When you're in Catholic grade school, you got to go every day, 1st through 8th grade, and you're like, oh my gosh, thank God I built up all that time going to church.
Maybe that's why I'm good at that.
I reached my quota by the time I was 14 years old. But I learned, because we had to be in church. Like school started at 8. I think church was at 7:30. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I hold that against my parents. But when you were tired, because people would say something to you, oh, man, you can't yawn. So I learned
it feels
to do,
disrespectful.
just like Adele pulled off, the closed mouth yawn. She pulled it off. The camera caught her, and I'm like, man, I love you. I love you, Adele.
I gotta watch this because I've never seen anybody pulled off and look normal.
I can do it. I don't know if I look normal.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it many times.
I'm not looking to be normal. I
Okay,
just don't
then.
want to have a big old yawn. Like,
yeah.
we're on camera here. I mean, we all yawn during the morning. At this point, I'm like, I don't care. But like if I'm in church, I feel like, God's watching, so I got to.
Yeah, I mean, I can do the closed mouth yawn, but
Quick,
it looks
Nick,
like
yawn, because yawning's contagious.
It
That'll
is,
get me
it's
the
true.
yawn, then I'll let you know.
I'm sure I'll have one at some point. But there's the face that you make that either looks like you're about ready to cry or puke, or you smelled something horrific because you're. I don't even want to get into like the physics of this, but your mouth wants to like elongate, and yet you are closing it. So then you got all this pressure with a closed mouth going. It looks like the most awkward thing in the world. But yeah, I mean, if you pull it off to the point that you just didn't do an open mouth yawn, then hey, good on you. But I guarantee you it didn't look normal. Probably you actually might cause a little bit of concern to people who, if they see you're like, are you okay? You sick? You smell something? No, I did a closed mouth yawn. And then when you catch someone doing it, you're like, just yawn already. I saw you try to stifle that yawn.
I tweeted Severe and tell him that you think Adele is overrated. I want to watch that
I
Twitter
know.
conversation this morning.
I'm different. Okay, overrated was a little bit harsh, I admit.
Oh, just tweet at him and see what.
I will.
think
I'll
it'd be
just
good-
say
I
I'm
think it'd be
different.
Good, thorough, in-depth conversation. Michael may be
I
a
know
little Michael might be a little biased.
I know he's very passionate about Adele's talent.
We got an update with Jimmy coming up here in a little bit. We've been talking about this. So Ndamukong Suh, who is in town for the Berkshire Hathaway weekend, stopped in Lincoln yesterday.
Is that why they had part of Farnham blocked off?
For Sue?
Yeah, well, not for him, but we were talking about yesterday.
I don't know, by Buffett's house?
Yeah.
Did you go over there?
Well, that's the route I come before I turn on 52nd and avoid getting T-boned.
So they have it blocked off?
Well, they have one part of it, so you have to go to one side and hope there's not another car coming.
Nah, they're probably fixing a pothole.
They got so much construction going on.
That's what I thought originally, and then I
remember.
remember what you said yesterday. I was like,
There's probably pothole construction.
Jimmy, when you drive by on Friday, you'll see people taking pictures of his house. If you don't know
Yeah.
what his house, well, it's kind of noticeable what his house is. It kind of stands alone right there on the corner.
Yeah.
I mean, by now I'm not giving away any secrets. Everybody knows.
No,
Everybody knows where Buffett lives in this town, right?
We're not like distributing star.
He's in our neighborhood. He's in our neighborhood. But Sue has done some stuff with Warren Buffett.
Mhm.
So Sue is back for this weekend. And he was on campus yesterday down in Lincoln. Now, you know the whole story. I mean, first of all, Ndamukong Suh is one of the greatest defensive linemen ever to play the game of college football. Is he the greatest player ever at Nebraska? That's always a good summertime debate.
Yeah.
But he has a strong case. I would say Rich Glover was Sue before we ever knew about Sue.
Yeah.
But then Sue came along, and that great season, his last season in Nebraska that he had.
Could have won the Heisman.
Well,
maybe should have won the Heisman.
12 sacks. I mean, led the team in tackles, 24 tackles for loss. I still think one of the best stats of that entire season that gets overlooked is he had 10 pass breakups.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he's playing cornerback.
No, you're right.
Okay, he was playing on the defensive line.
Right.
And remember, he also blocked kicks.
Yep.
And he intercepted passes.
And he runs them back for touchdowns and trucks quarterbacks from Colorado.
And he caught touchdown receptions, although that was in 08.
Could have won the Heisman, all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But he is one of the more celebrated guys that ever played in Nebraska. You know, as he has balanced his life, and he is a big thinker. I mean, a big thinker. He's also a massive individual. If anybody has seen him up close or had interaction with him, Ndamukong Suh is a huge man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was huge at Nebraska, and he is even a little bit bigger in the NFL. That's why I was just blown away by the picture yesterday of him and Fedoni. So Fedoni actually looks bigger than Suh. Now, he's a little bit taller than Suh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, man, Thomas does not miss a day in the weight room.
Yeah.
But anytime you see Suh back in Lincoln, that's good because it wasn't going to be that way. No, and kudos to Bill Moose and Scott Frost. So Suh believed in Frost. And that kind of opened the door for Suh to come back in because if you recall, when the Nebraska bookstore went upside down and that prime piece of real estate in Lincoln was available, Suh, with the connection, hometown of Portland to Nike, wanted to be like Nike Town.
Mm-hmm.
And Nebraska has the deal with Adidas. But he wanted that whole thing to be Nike Town. It was going to be this enormous Nike village. It was going to sell Nebraska gear, all the Nike stuff. It was going to be like his first business while he was in the NFL, and it got shot down. And I don't know all the particulars, but there was stuff behind the scenes, and he got really ticked off, and he said, screw you, Nebraska, I'm done. But yet, you go in the weight room,
right,
and it's the Ndamukong Suh weight room. You walk into the weight room, and he's up on the wall, and you're like, okay. I think that transfers over the new facility, right?
Yes.
Okay. So kudos to Moose and Frost, who opened the door for dialogue and welcomed him back. I mean, Suh has his moments in Nebraska football history of ragdolling Colt McCoy, beating the hell out of any Missouri quarterback that lived.
It's a great game.
But he also has the moment of the Akron game when the game is delayed and there is lightning and there is rain and there are thunderstorms all around the stadium,
mm-hmm.
and it's not yet raining. Suh diagonally walks across the field. 90,000 people, huge buzz in the stands. It's Frost's first game. Here comes Suh just walking across the field, and people are going nuts. And he went back in the locker room and hung out with the fellas. So anytime I see him back on campus, I'm like, you know what? Good. If for a win for Moose and Frost connection was getting Suh back. And I imagine that he showed up yesterday, and you're going to see probably a lot more out of his visit, and hopefully more of him around here. But it also led me to think, guys, what if Suh existed in the NIL era?
Oh, man.
Because remember, he almost left Nebraska.
Yeah.
And then was he going to go early? What was he going to do? In the NIL era with Ndamukong Suh at Nebraska, would we have been talking about a $7-8 million man?
Yes.
He would have done handsomely well.
I had this conversation a year ago.
Or also, I don't mean to interrupt, other schools that would try and pry him away when he was like, who's this Bo Pelini fella?
Yep.
You know, when Pelini has to fly to Portland to convince him to, to stay at Nebraska.
Yeah. And that was when the NIL deals came out. And I know a lot of people did this exercise too of like what Nebraska players would be the most profitable. And I think Ndamukong Suh was on a lot of people, including mine, just top of the list as far as what you could do with him, how much money he would stand to make. Now, this was also before we got into the so-called tampering. So that part I haven't gone down. That is also something that, whether it was Bo Pelini or if we want to throw in any coach, at any time of Nebraska football and say, like, how would you be able to keep him happy? Because where we all assume student athletes are always chasing the bag, which it's, as we know, is not always the case, how much more money would he sort of be hinted towards from, back channel conversations? Because he would probably be one of the most profitable, I think the most profitable player in college football during the NIL era.
I mean, just
he's a game record.
For a comparison, the people that cover Georgia football are telling us that Dylan Raiola has an $8 million NIL deal.
Right.
Okay, that's the Georgia people talking.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes worry. I think the numbers for NIL deals sometimes are inflated. Hey, that guy's getting $1 million. No, he's not. He's getting $250K.
Mm-hmm.
But the Georgia people say that Dylan Raiola has got an $8 million deal from Georgia. Can you imagine and I just used $8 million, what Sue's NIL deal would be at a place like Nebraska to keep him away from another school?
Yeah, and that's the key. When you're talking about a guy that is not played one down of college football, even a highly ranked and highly recruited quarterback, going to a place and knowing to get the guy, you've got to be the highest bidder, or you think you have to be the highest bidder. But for someone that has already shown,
would Phil Knight be in his ear? That's what I would be. I mean,
that is a great point, that you've got a guy that has game wrecking ability. He can change the game.
Uniforms.
And that it's not going to be cheap, but you've got NIL and you can do that now, and you don't have to worry about a lot of the consequence repercussions, even if you do it a little bit on, say, not on the level. Oh, it would be astronomical. I think he would exceed $8 million. I really do. Because how many guys like that exist in college football? How many guys like that exist where you can put them on your defense and it instantly becomes that much better? Like, that's so rare. There's great defensive players out there, sure, but to have that quality, it's like an Aaron Donald. It's the same type of thing where you have a rare talent that can impact the game defensively the way that those guys can. So, yeah, that would be something like we've never seen.
Phil says in the Equitable Bank inbox, Gary at 1620thezone.com, where they take banking personally, he says, I've never thought of Sue as the greatest ever to play at Nebraska. He goes, I have him in my top 5. He goes, I may reconsider.
Based on this conversation?
That Sue is the greatest Nebraska football player of all time? Did not win a championship.
Right.
All time.
Close.
All time.
All time.
Debate amongst yourselves. Get back to us. We got a long off season.
We'll do that in July.
Ahead of us. Damn, Fedoni. Hello. Just stay healthy.
That's the part that gets lost in all this.
Stay healthy.
Stay healthy, my friend. Stay healthy. This is the longest stretch that he's been healthy at Nebraska. He's yoked. All right, 7:15. Jimmy's got an update ed service a little bit later, and also Brandon Vogel on this Wednesday edition. Jimmy?
Let's try this again. Midweek mess time in Lincoln tonight. Nebraska baseball and North Dakota State at Hawks Field, 6:05 first pitch. It's going to be a gorgeous night with no wind.
I know that's that.
No wind. You
Thank you.
cannot say that enough.
Gorgeous baseball day.
Leave your Zyrtec at home. Well, I don't know. Some people, it doesn't matter.
Don't do that.
Anyway, Nebraska holds a perfect 7-0 record against the Bison in the all-time series. In their last meeting earlier this season, they came away with a 4-1 victory. That was back on March 28th at Hawks Field. At Tuesday's Metro Conference Track and Field Championships, Jalen Lloyd, you remember him. He sets Westside's school record in the boys triple jump at 48.8. They say it's wind dated. I don't care. That's impressive. I don't care if there's wind or no wind. He's fast. He can do it all. He also qualified 5th for Wednesday's final in the 100 meters, the first time he lined up in the blocks this season. And no big deal. The Nebraska football commit was the gold medalist in both events last year at the state meet.
Hey, so and they have day 2 today. It starts in the afternoon. I know during the course of this month, we have the state track and field championships spread out over a few days at Omaha Burke. I've been back here long enough. Yesterday was the first day that I stopped by Burke for the Metro Track and Field Championships. That is a very underrated event. Very, very underrated. You brought up Jalen Lloyd. Amari Lang, who she runs for Millard South, she set a record in the long jump yesterday. I mean, that's an event that I think if you know, you know. But man, there are some hell of an athletes, male and female, that are in the Metro track and field. That's got to be one of the better competitions that we have in this city at the high school level. And I don't know.
This would be a good day for people to go check it out.
Well, I was over by Burke yesterday, and I knew it was going on, and I'm like, I mean, Jalen Lloyd gets you in the door because you know him of his connection to Nebraska, and Tristan Alvano's running as well. Not playing soccer, he's running track and field, and Jalen Lloyd's going to be in the Olympics someday. I mean, a great family. He's a special individual. But I was watching, I'm like, damn, this is state track and field. It's almost like there's too many people there for me. Now I'll go, but it's just
a lot of the out-of-towners.
And there were a good crowd there yesterday. That is a great event. That is a really, really, I think, an under-talked about event in this community at the high school level is the Metro track and field, and day 2 is today. And I encourage anybody to go out there. The weather's going to be great.
Yeah.
There are some amazing athletes on male and female that are competing.
New scoreboard up?
Yes, it is.
All right.
Hey, it looks really, really good.
Good.
I mean, hey,
I saw there was something up there. It's facing
that,
Dodge, so I couldn't see it.
That takes a lot of angst off of the plate of the Burke people,
I'm
because last year doing football games there, and they had to have the auxiliary scoreboard in the opposite end zone. It's a little tiny thing.
Yeah,
it's got a new
Had to
scoreboard.
replace some light bulbs in the thing.
They still got some work to do at Burke Stadium, but they do have a new video board ahead of track and field, which you threatened Omaha pulling that out of here. I don't know where they would ever go with that, but so good on Burke. But if you're going today, it starts in the afternoon. It's a great event.
Let's see, where are we? I agree. 76 and sunny today with no wind. So if you're in the area, to be young again. Speaking of young, Joel Embiid is young, and he wins the NBA's MVP. He finally claims the award after finishing second the past 2 seasons. He flipped the script with a dominant season, finishing ahead of Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo for the league's top individual honor. Those two had a great case for the award themselves. It seemed like a tight race throughout much of the season, but it ended as a blowout. That ties back into the whole election talk. Embiid garnered 73 of the 100 available first-place votes. Joker had 15. Giannis had 12. The Celtics' Jason Tatum finished 4th, and Oklahoma City guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was 5th. In the NBA, no Jimmy Butler for the Heat as the Knicks even up their series of 1 game apiece, winning Game 2, 111-105. Butler missed after hurting his ankle late in Game 1. Game 3 is Friday night in Miami. They hope to have him back. The Lakers jump out to a 1-0 series lead behind Anthony Davis' Tim Duncan, like numbers of 30 points and 23 rebounds to go with 5 assists and 4 blocks as they knock off the Warriors 117-112. LA blows a 14-point lead but survives. LeBron scores 22, hauls down 11 boards. Dennis Schroeder scores 19 off the bench. Steph Curry added 27 with Klay Thompson chipping in 25 for Golden State. Game 2 is Thursday night in San Francisco. Chris Paul's status is in doubt for games 3 and 4 against the Denver Nuggets this weekend because of his left groin strain. He is expected to push for a return, hopefully not pushing off his legs because that would hurt the groin more. But the possibility of recovering by Friday's game 3 is believed to be a significant challenge. The code there is he's probably done. The Suns have officially listed him as day-to-day. The Nuggets lead that series 2-0. Warm up the brooms.
Yeah. The Butler won yesterday, and then of course we know Joel, and
there's no guarantee he's going to play in game 2.
And so, and this was kind of an interesting conversation yesterday. I was listening to Kendrick Perkins talking about this.
That's a mistake.
He's thinking the same thing.
It's entertaining, I guess, more than anything.
Well, he is. He's an entertainer. He's just a character.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. ESPN's got a lot of those guys. But there was the question of, okay, since you maybe, if you're Philly and you stole one, does that allow you to maybe give Joel another game to respond? And I will admit, though, what Kendrick Perkins said, depends on how you look at it. No, you now look at it as an opportunity. If Joel can go, you play him and you try to step on the gas.
And you try to end it.
Right. You try to go into Boston and you try to take 2 right there on the road. I can see it from both sides of that one, but that's what Philadelphia did in Boston.
If he's healthy, you play him. If he's not, you don't push him.
And if they lose that game, I don't think you have any choice. They won that game, though. So now I think you do have a decision. Obviously, first and foremost, how's Joel doing? But if he's close, I think you have a decision there.
I think the Celtics win game 2 in a blowout.
They're a 10.5-point favorite.
Yeah. It's going to be a long series.
At least with Jimmy Butler. And, man, I thought they were going to pull it off last night.
Spo was working his magic.
Hey, but they have Jimmy you win game 1. You get game 2 off. You don't play again until Saturday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take that. When when somebody says your ankle has swelled up the size of a baseball, maybe you should take it off. And they almost won that game.
They did. And
almost won last night. That is, I know people don't want to hear this, but I'm going to tell you, there is a thing called the Heat culture.
Yeah.
And they didn't have Jimmy Butler. They don't have Hero. People don't know who Gabe Vincent is. They don't know who Caleb Martin is.
Yeah.
Kevin Love looks like he's reincarnated. And they almost pulled that game off last night to go up 2-0 at the Garden, and Jimmy Butler didn't play in one of those games. Man, I'd be giddy. I'd be skipping throughout the building all morning long in my Heat jersey.
They're 8 seed and number only now.
Tibbs' response, though, when he was asked, do you look at Saturday and prepare as if Jimmy Butler will play, given the type of player he is and given the amount of time he has off? And he just kind of smirked, goes, I think you know the answer to that.
Yeah. Is the Pope Catholic?
Right.
Jimmy Butler's playing.
Yeah. He said, I think. And he almost, he didn't want to go as far as say that's a clown question, bro. But yeah, he pretty much insinuated as much.
And for the Knicks, Brunson was kind of a game time decision, and he played. And
big second half, too.
It's watching both of those series last night. There's one series that could be played in the 90s, like 1990-ish, and then you have the Lakers and Golden State, which is, it's a little like a symphony of basketball
like that.
Between two different styles.
Symphony.
All right, as we go to break, thank you, Jimmy. Texter Bernie texts in, would Crick have to give Sue half his NIL for getting him to the NFL?
Ooh.
Well, when he was the focal point of an opposition, it was a little bit different for Jared Crick compared to when he was alongside Sue. So it's a fair question.
Iowa JD, he says he would have made about $9 million when Saban flew him down to Alabama for his senior year.
Touche.
Yes,
it's not wrong.
And then DP says Sue is the best Nebraska player ever, and it's not a question. He's in the discussion for the best college player ever of any school. Who else from NU is? In this modern era, no doubt.
Yep.
No doubt. And it's good. It's good that things got mended up in the previous regime, because anytime he's back in Lincoln is a good thing. The first picture was, I think it was the Barstool Husker account. They had him getting out of his car.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, Sue's a big deal. But and I got to imagine, I think a lot of coaches are on the road. So I think Rule might have been one of the rare coaches that was in the house yesterday. I'm sure they're doing something with that. Which is, again, it is a win-win across the board to have that guy back, because when that whole Nike Town thing fell apart, he's done. He had never coming back to Nebraska, and they're going to have the weight room is named after him, and he won't set foot back here.
Yeah.
And now that he's kind of getting towards the end of his NFL career, I wonder if he'll spend more time in Lincoln. Man, there's guys that will tell you that there was one time he lifted, and they were like, holy crap. See, that's where I think Scott could have done a better job with this, because it's not like they were preventing guys. I think Rule and his building a relationship with former players that live in the area or have come back, I think you'll start to hear during the summer of guys that will come back to Nebraska to train, like NFL guys that will come back here maybe to work with Corey Campbell, but to work out in the facility, like as we get into the new facility and all of the technology that is there.
Just kind of a recruiting tool in itself.
Well, I mean, at Miami.
Yes.
The guys that have played at Miami that are in the league.
Mario's bringing them all.
They come back and they work out during the summer with the current guys.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's a huge, you don't think a recruit just all of a sudden is unofficial, just walking through the facility and they see NFL guy, NFL guy.
Friday Night Lights camp.
Hey, kid.
Kicking things off. You're walking through there and saying, that's nice.
Need a spot?
All right. 26 past the hour. When we come back, so Embiid won the MVP. It's the 5th straight year that an international player has won the Most Valuable Player award, good or bad for basketball. That and much more coming up as we roll till 10. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Hey guys, Woodhouse Mazda has something you have to check out today, and that is the newest addition to the Mazda CUV lineup, the Mazda CX-90. And I'm talking about power and luxury all in one with this very spacious CUV. It's got 8-passenger capacity with an available 3-seat third row. And if we're talking about power, well, how about a 3.3-liter inline 6-turbo engine that comes in 2 variations of differing power and a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. I took this for a spin last week, and between just the overall look of the exterior and the spacious interior and that Mazda modern technology, it was absolutely blown away. This is a must-see and a must-have, especially for larger families getting ready for those summer adventures. And Mazda continuing to incorporate the latest and best safety and entertainment technology, and also a huge panoramic moonroof that makes every trip enjoyable. And yeah, you're going to notice the vehicle's power as well. You need to see this for yourself. Set up a test drive today at WoodhouseMazda.com or WoodhousePlaceMazda.com, where you can also customize your deal. Woodhouse Mazda is the exclusive Mazda dealer in the metro with 2 convenient locations in Bellevue and Millard. So get ready for those summer trips in amazing comfort with the Mazda CX-90. You won't be disappointed. Woodhouse Mazda, a drive worth experiencing.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Previously on The Crossover.
I'm on a rent-a-pet website. I don't think this is legit. You can rent a Bengal white tiger for a month, no handler, $1,000.
Whoa! Yeah, that seems illegal.
Disclaimer, Rent-A-Pet is not responsible for any injury/death that may occur to you from our tigers. However, our tigers are highly trained animals. Can you at least give me a leash?
Mornings with Sharp and Handley. The Connor Happer Show. Unsportsmanlike conduct. 6A to 6P. 1620. The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from Knoyer Garden Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Potential for a top 10 day Wednesday. Chilly early on, but expect nothing but sunshine. Fantastic in the afternoon with just a light breeze. Highs in the low to mid 70s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Are you sick of spring allergies and itchy contacts? Get rid of them today at KuglerVision.com.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a little bit of slowdown from 108th to 90th along L Street. On Dodge, looks like things were slowing down a little bit from 94th to 90th. And on Industrial Road, be prepared for a little bit of slowdown from 149th to 144th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Romeo's Mexican Food and Pizza.
Not your typical restaurant, not your typical place. Romeo's, not your typical restaurant, for your not your typical taste. Romeo's, Romeo's Mexican Food and Pizza. Not your typical restaurant.
The greatest American rock and roll band in history, Aerosmith, present Peace Out, the Farewell Tour. Aerosmith, with special guest the Black Crowes.
Little thing, let me light your candle, calls the mama, I'm so on the
CHI Health Center, Friday, November 10th. Get tickets this Friday at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. Aerosmith with the Black Crowes, the Farewell Tour. Peace out.
If you haven't updated your windows, you could be throwing money out the window. Don't let the cool air out. Upgrade today with J-Tech Construction. For a limited time, get 60 months with 0% interest. Plus, as an added bonus, every window gets a special rated UV upgrade for free. Save money, keep the cool air in, and be happier when you upgrade your windows with the official exterior experts of Nebraska Athletics. For more info, go to yourexteriorexperts.com. Subject to credit approval.
It's spring. Now is the best time to shop at Lenaha for all things garden or landscape. Our garden center is filled with the largest selection of homegrown plants, flowers, trees, and more. The area's best mulch and soil available for delivery and pickup. Rooted in quality, unmatched value. Lenaha Nurseries, 192nd and Center.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 3.5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here for my friends at Miracle Hill Golf and Tennis. The spring has arrived, which means you got good weather and you have some of that typical Nebraska spring weather. So if it's raining outside, no problem at all. The Top Tracer building is there to keep you covered and comfortable. You can play virtual courses from all around the world. And when the weather is great, well, of course, you can golf a full 18 or a quick 9 after work. 402-498-0220, Miracle Hill Golf and Tennis.
PACE, Police Athletics for Community Engagement Organization, is dedicated to preventing at-risk and disadvantaged inner-city children from becoming involved in street gangs, crime, drug use, and victimization. Last year, PACE served over 5,000 area kids with wholesome competition and free participation in soccer, baseball, CrossFit, and flag football. To help PACE and local families make sure kids have access to safe and fun spring and summer activities, please go to paceomaha.org to support the PACE mission. Thank you.
I'm Omaha Athletic Director Adrian Dow, and I want to introduce you to 3 Omaha schools that are playing a vital role in keeping our community strong. We serve nearly 600 pre-K through 8th grade students, most of whom come from disadvantaged neighborhoods. These students receive a values-based education with the family support they need. I'm a proud member of the Q's Fund Board, which supports the Q's school system. To learn more, go to Q's Schools, that's CUES schools.org.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Come watch us live and see what's happening behind the scenes every weekday from 6A to 6P. No matter how you listen or watch, it's still AM radio, 1620 The Zone TV, now live at 1620thezone.com. Powered by Tickets for Less.
A couple emails here in the Equitable Bank inbox. Chris, down in the place where Brian Kelly went viral yesterday, say he loves beating Alabama. Chris is down in Baton Rouge. A lot of people in Notre Dame said, I wish you would have said that back in 2012. He says, Sue the greatest, ? Yes, and it's not even close for me. 1 and 2 are not even debatable. Sue and Crouch. Robert chimes in. Good to hear from Robert in Chicago. That people, the greatest, that people don't recall the start as a freshman to Hall of Fame greatness of Will Shields speaks, I guess, to the anonymity of offensive linemen. But his talent and performance aren't beaten by anyone. I can tell you, Robert, that people do not overlook Will Shields. But to your point, there's a lot of truth in there. How great did Will Shields look?
I was going to say, he looked great.
Yeah, he did.
Man, he is in great shape.
Yeah, he's looked like that for he was in an event in Columbus back when I was there at a golf event, and I was trying to tell one of our interns out of all these guys, who do you think was the offensive lineman and who was the skill position player? And she's like, well, it's definitely not that guy. Wasn't an offensive lineman. I'm like, I know, and he was. Yeah, he looked good.
Damn good.
Will looks really, really good. And there's another guy that, the door has been open, and Will has come back plenty of times to events and to Nebraska. See, those guys, they are such an asset. It's tough to remember Will Shields a little bit because of when he played, and now we're dealing with the kids that are 18 to 22, but they still remember Sue. Again, Nebraska has a couple of things that they've had right at their fingertips that they have not used as an advantage. So those are 2 particular guys that you can continue, because if I'm a football player in Nebraska and I'm walking in the hallways and I'm walking in the weight room or, down the hallway that has all of the award winners, those guys are pretty prominent.
Yeah.
So it's keep the door open and keep them coming back. To use them to your advantage is huge. And even with Sue, man, Sue's got an incredible financial brain. I would pick his brain, and I would use him to, if the relationship is as strong as it appears, I would use him so much to help your inner workings of that football program. Jimmy was telling you in the update, if you didn't get it yesterday, Joel Embiid got 73 first-place votes, won the NBA MVP.
That's well-deserved. Surprised it was that close.
This is a little biased question for you, Mr. Chavez, but when you watch Joel Embiid, do you think Kansas Jayhawk? Does anybody think Kansas Jayhawk when you watch him beat? Now, he was there for 1 year. It was the 13-14 season.
They'd like to remind you that.
But remember, he got injured right before the Big 12 tournament, too, so he didn't even play any postseason at all.
Does anybody ever say, oh, man, there's Embiid. He played for self. He was a KU Jayhawk.
Yeah.
I do only because I covered his recruiting. And so I was given a tip like, hey, call this kid in Florida, but he only talks through his it wasn't his high school coach, but it was like it. And
he was at IMG and then he transferred.
Yeah.
He didn't finish his career at IMG in Florida.
So I called and he said he had picked Kansas, very shy, nice kid. He was picking Kansas because he wanted to be developed by Danny Manning at the time. And he was thinking, like, dead serious, this is a place I want. I don't want to be one and done. I want to spend 3 or 4 years at the time, not thinking he was going to blow up. And then when he played his freshman year and he blew up, it was a no doubt business decision. And Bill told him, you need to go because, and especially after he got hurt, it's like, when else are you going to have this opportunity? What if something else happens? And there was a game against Texas that I was covering. And this is when I knew, well, he's gone after this year. This is when he was healthy. In one game, I saw 3 different centers from him. 1 minute, it was, oh, wow, that's Akeem Olajuwon. Oh, wow, that's Shaq. Oh, this is Tim Duncan. And then I was 4. This is David Robinson. And I said to the guy next to me, yeah, he's not staying more than 1 year. So I think of him as that. But as a whole, to answer your question, no, I don't think so.
See, I don't. And then that was the same team with Andrew Wiggins. And I think also, if I remember correctly,
they had 6 NBA guys off that team.
Yeah. And they got beat in the second round.
They lost to Stanford, a 10 seed. Wiggins had 4 points in that game.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't have an Embiid. Embiid probably changes it a little bit of what they could potentially do in the postseason. But I was at a big Monday game at Iowa State at Hilton, and they were both finally peaking. It took Andrew Wiggins a little bit longer to get going, but that was when they were peaking. And I've only been to that place twice, once for a Nebraska game, and it was extremely loud, and then that game. And that was as quiet as I've ever heard that place because they just kept Iowa State at arm's reach the entire game. Joel had a big game. Wiggins had a big game. And that's where you can see, well, this group is maybe onto something. But yeah, then he got hurt. And it's still kind of hard to even think of Wiggins as a KU guy too, based on how that postseason went.
I forget him more.
Well, I mean, Wiggins was 17 points that year, but you had Wiggins, Selden, Embiid.
Yeah, Selden.
Andrew White was on that team.
Mhm.
So Andrew White did play in the NBA.
Yep, that's true.
Tank Black, and then Frank Mason. So that's the 6 that were on the 13-14 KU team. But I bring this up because he wins the MVP, and it's a long journey, and I like Embiid. Not a lot of people like Embiid. People would prefer,
I like the game.
People would prefer the goofball in Denver, and I say that lovingly. But there's voter fatigue. I mean, they're giving it to Joker for 3 straight years. It's going to be like the Caleb Williams effect. You see what I'm looking at?
Yeah, I do. I'm looking over.
Someone got pulled over for speeding right outside of our studio here on Dodge, and as traffic is picked up, the person just pulled over on Dodge. They didn't turn the corner, and the cop had to get on his PA system to say, please turn off of Dodge. So that's why I'm staring at
7. You were going 7 miles an hour.
Yep, they had the nitrous going.
So Embiid, wins the MVP again. Some people like the goofball. Some people are voter fatigue. Like Caleb Williams, good luck trying to win back-to-back Heismans. It happens. I mean, were they going to give Joker had a great season, but were they going to give it for 3 straight years?
Yeah.
When you have Embiid and Giannis having the kind of seasons that they are. But I bring up KU because they're going to say, hey, KU now has Wilt and they have Embiid.
Oh, yeah. They're going to. Yeah.
But I don't ever really think of Embiid as a Jayhawk. But what I do look at Embiid, and I mentioned this going into the break, it's 5 straight years that an international player has won the MVP. So Giannis won it 2 times, Joker won it 2 times, and now Embiid. You got to go back to Harden in 17-18. And before that, Westbrook and Curry and Durant and James and Rose, and then Kobe. And then you got to go back 06-07 is when Dirk won the MVP. But is that good or bad for American-born players? And TC hits it right on the head when it comes to international basketball. You can trace its roots back to the Dream Team. I think the reason that there's
Beautifully
the
said.
international players that have come to this country and have performed so well, David Stern, who promoted, remember, he wanted to take basketball outside of the United States and make it a big deal worldwide, and then the Dream Team in 92. And there's a lot of kids that saw the 92 team that picked up a basketball or have access to the NBA that are playing more basketball. Heck, it benefits our college game as well.
Tony Parker has said as much. The Dream Team did it. And
So in this country, and you know, I think there's probably some kids in this state that, you know, when Sue was playing, they were like, man, I want to be a defensive lineman. So there have been, you know, there are players that you see and you're like, man, I want to be like him. And maybe you start to play that sport, or go, man, I want to get to where they are. And so your dedication,
put in that commitment,
the journey, it takes off a little bit. In this country, in this current day of basketball, it's Steph Curry and who that are getting kids to play basketball. That in this country, in basketball, kids are wanting to play basketball because they're watching blank. I say Steph Curry, because a lot of kids can relate to this, the size of Curry. And hey, I love shooting like that. I don't need to dunk the basketball, but I can shoot threes. I can do all that stuff. And coaches are like, baseball.
I'd still know LeBron.
Is there anybody else?
I still think LeBron has a little bit.
Because we saw the Tiger effect in golf,
Yep,
either for the
absolutely.
good or bad for operators of when Tiger took off, everybody wanted to go play golf.
Right.
And golf courses were packed, merchandise was selling, equipment was selling, and then it fell off a little bit. Is there anybody in football, like nowadays, young kids,
Mahomes,
or the young quarterbacks? I don't
Yeah.
want to be biased towards as being a Chiefs fan.
Mahomes for sure.
Now,
People are getting their haircuts like him.
what about baseball? Is there a player in baseball right now that has the effect in this country? That's a
good
question. Like Griffey did for us.
That your young boy or girl at 5, 6, 7 years old sees a baseball game, and again, we're in unprecedented times with the speed of baseball. Thank you. Is they see him and they go, Dad, can we go to blank and get a glove? Hey, can we go play catch? Hey, can we do this, this, and this because I'm watching somebody in baseball on TV? Is there a person right now in Major League Baseball that is young, because they do have a nice plethora of guys younger than 25 that has enough power to get people to go play, not on the level of the Dream Team or what Stern's vision was, but at least to go buy a glove?
Maybe Shohei.
Join a little league.
Maybe Shohei. Bryce Harper, I think, was at one point, maybe not as recent, but you know where I almost kind of gauge that too? If you ever watch the Little League World Series and they talk about their favorite player, and sometimes it's regionalized because of like where they're from, and so they're used to watching, you know, their big league team. If you know, say they're in Illinois, they're talking about one of the the Cubs, the White Sox. But I noticed last year you started getting a lot of Shoheis. You get a lot of Bryce Harpers every now and then, Mike Trouts, but I think it's more splintered. Sure, I don't think there's one guy. It's like, yep, without question, it should be Shohei because that's just freakish what he can do.
But he's never on TV.
No,
Nope.
and
therein lies the problem.
And that's Major League Baseball's problem that still exists.
When we were kids, Griffey was one of those guys, but I feel like you could watch him more because there were more games on TV versus today, which is messed up because that's backwards. It shouldn't be that way.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like,
and that's just one example. There were some great dudes in the 90s.
I probably didn't pay attention as much when Ken Griffey Jr. was at his peak popularity of how Major League Baseball marketed him or how they didn't. But I feel like he was a lot more recognizable. He was much more part of what they were trying to present as a product, as opposed to now where I think there's an attempt. But again, I still feel this is Major League Baseball's Achilles heel. I will always say that. It's just hard to, whether it's the players, and I know Manfred said that about Mike Trout, that he doesn't always want to participate in certain campaigns and whatnot. They just don't market it very well. But yeah, I would say Shohei.
It doesn't help when you black out 6 teams in one state. I mean, I go back to that, but it's the truth. If you want to watch these great players, if you black out 6 teams, that means technically on a given night, you're blacking out 12 teams.
Yeah, I can't pinpoint just one guy and be like, yeah, for sure.
Adam
Everyone
throws a
wants to
name
be.
in here, Aaron Judge.
Yep, I think that's a decent
Aaron
one.
Judge is a large person. So to a young fan, he's a behemoth. And oh, by the way, he's one of the better players in the game.
Good guy.
I think, there's probably a plethora of Nebraska football players that young people in the state watched growing up and said, man, I want to be like him. And so that either got you involved in football or, again, kickstarted the process to, man, I'd love to play at Nebraska. You know who I think has one of the biggest impacts of people picking up a sport or the commitment was the run that Doug McDermott had in basketball at Creighton.
Yep, I think that's a real good one.
I don't know how you'd ever do a survey like this.
Yeah.
Like you get 10, 11, 12-year-olds. We'd be probably now at high school age.
Yeah.
And get them in a room and go, hey, why did you start basketball? Who were you first that you said, man, I want to be like? I think there will be a lot of people that when they were younger and Doug was doing what he was doing, were wearing a 3 jersey and seeing his ability and especially his shot making. And they're like, man, I want to play basketball. I want to be just like Doug.
And he was here long enough for you to fall in love. It wasn't just 1 year or 2 years. He was here for the full extent, so you could really get into that, not only watching his game evolve, but he was a constant presence.
Rest in peace, David Stern, man. Your impact, getting the game out of the country and developing the international game.
He changed the game forever.
And then the Dream Team. The Dream Team in 92, that will live forever. The impact that had. It had impact in this country, but also overseas of just playing in the Olympics and bludgeoning everybody.
Right.
But the fact that,
The
man,
star power there.
Who is Angola?
Yeah. Exactly. Man, that was some beatdowns. All right, 7:49. A little bit later, Ed Service, Creighton baseball coach, will join us. Also, Brandon Vogel will stop by. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley at 1620 The Zone. Hey, you can stop by and see your favorite star, whether you're young, you're old, whether they're young or they're old. You can see them on stage or on the court or on the field or on the diamond. Tickets for Less is my friends, and they are friends for you. If you want to get the best selection of seats with zero per-ticket fees right now, go to the website, ticketsforless.com. Find your show or your game that you want to go to, and you'll see the great pricing with zero per-ticket fees at ticketsforless.com. They also have tickets available for Volleyball Day in Nebraska coming up on the 30th of August. Plus, you get an additional discount. When you go to checkout, just use my promo code THEZONE, and you'll see where magic begins. It's ticketsforless.com.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. The best way to catch all the action is on 1620 The Zone. And no line for the bathroom.
From sports medicine to spine, bone, and joint problems, Nebraska Medicine is your home for the region's most comprehensive orthopedic care. Our specialists have the unmatched expertise to diagnose and treat common and complex problems, with surgery being a last resort. With multiple locations, our leading care is miles ahead, yet close to home. For orthopedic advances, this is where you begin. Visit nebraskamed.com/ortho.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
It's time to wake up your taste buds. Introducing my new Fiesta Lime Chicken Pizza. Spicy taco sauce, generous amounts of chicken, green peppers, onions, jalapenos, mounds of cheddar and mozzarella cheese, and finished with a tangy lime sprinkle. Add your favorite one-topping pizza and my sweet cinnamon monkey bread. Fiesta Feast. Now that's a fiesta for your mouth. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 11th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let us handle all the details steps away on the south side of Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination. Blur Events takes care of all the work so you can enjoy the day.
Tired of having a website that doesn't reflect the quality of your brand? At JM Online, we specialize in custom websites for unique business needs. Your website should be more than just a digital billboard. It should be a powerful tool that grows your business. Awarded Omaha's best web developers in 2023, we're dedicated to local business success. So if you're ready to take your website to the next level, go to jmonline.com and request a call.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $22 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
Life doesn't stop when cancer starts. After a diagnosis, treatment is vital. But for some, just getting there to appointments, chemo, or radiation is a major challenge. You can change that. Volunteer to give rides with the American Cancer Society Road to Recovery program. A few hours of your day could make a life-saving difference for someone with cancer. Visit cancer.org/drive to learn more. That's cancer.org/drive.
There's nothing quite like listening to the Kansas City Royals to the wall, leap, dunk on 1620 The Zone.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Oh, ESPN. I don't know who they're trying to generate their audience for the NHL. So they have facts that are wrong. They don't have fact checkers when they put up graphics, when they're doing highlights.
Gordon Bombay's not a real guy.
Last night, I don't know, maybe this goes back to our conversation in the last segment about getting younger viewers and participants. So ESPN, the NHL hockey fan or hockey fan in general, when it's on TV, they're pretty straight and narrow. Okay. They don't want the glowing puck. They don't want, and this even drives me nuts, the dasher boards that are changing.
Yes, I don't like that.
Yeah. Okay. So that's new, but that kind of throws things off. But if you're watching ESPN last night, they have the annoying name tags on the players.
Yes.
Diehard fans know who the heck that person is. They're trying to attract a younger audience. I still don't know. ESPN, I don't know why you're taking hockey. Why, you said, I guess we got to do hockey because you're not giving it what it deserves.
Mm-hmm.
And especially this time of the year when there's some more eyeballs on it. Younger fans, I don't think you're going to get involved with showing name tags and the glowing puck. Now they're not using the glowing puck.
Goodness.
But I don't think they know who their audience is when they're doing hockey. They're trying to, this is just a general ESPN audience and instead of a dedicated audience. So ESPN mistake there. ESPN also, they made a big announcement yesterday, and I thought they made another huge mistake when they revealed when their next 30 for 30 is going to be. So the 4-part documentary on Bill Walton is coming out next month.
Which I look forward to.
How come they didn't release it on 420?
Yes.
Exactly. There'll
be a lot of great Grateful Dead music.
Major whiff right there.
So grab your favorite tie-dye shirt. Do people still wear tie-dye?
It better have.
Yeah.
In
Well,
some venues.
Let's be honest here. Let's be honest. When was the last time you saw somebody wearing tie-dye? That was not in school.
That was not in a summer camp with kids. Yes.
Okay, never mind then. I haven't. I was just going to say Reese's teacher.
When I lived in Lawrence.
So you
eliminate tie-dye?
She wears a tie-dye sweatshirt sometimes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Is she into that stuff?
I think so. From what I can gather, yeah, I think so.
Psychedelics, all that kind of thing?
Well,
Take her some brownies next year as a gift. Never mind the apple.
Keeps it clean from the hours of 7:30 to 5.
Those teachers can get down.
We might find her at a lot of those new shops around town.
Yeah, I can see that. Very, very nice.
Her favorite airline is also her favorite Fun Time Delta. So, hope I don't know this person.
No, you. I
Hey,
don't.
You all have to have experiences. In
I
your
don't
life.
know if you know her, but
So grab your tie-dye, pull up a chair, smoke a bowl, and enjoy the Bill Walton 4-part experience of the 30 for 30, which there are like a lot of interviews of people that have dealt with Bill Walton
would be a
throughout his
Grateful
career.
Dead soundtrack.
I think it's going to take you on a journey, but this is what I want most importantly, is I want, when it's all said and done, I want Bill Walton to read the credits and say something about every person and what their role was. That would be
fantastic
TV
grip.
magic for me.
A galactic treasure.
This was our screenwriter. Glorious.
Channel 3 Sean says to you and your wife with your son, just double check before you take some gummies from her desk.
I know you guys got me like wondering if I need to be more inquisitive of the day to day.
I took some gummy worms. They were spelled IE. I don't get it.
Hey, that's not a Haribo.
It's a Haribo, my friend.
Man,
Hey.
Reese has been coming home real hungry these days.
Hey.
I don't know what's going on there.
Hey, Dad, we learned about Black Forest.
These crayons are delicious. The Riggs ate dog biscuits and Lethal Weapon 3.
Kid starts actually bringing psychedelic into his vocab. We gotta
Comes home all of a sudden, has his hair is a little bit different.
Wants to listen to Fish in the car instead of Kids
yeah,
Talk.
he likes to, he's got his little soundtrack that he likes to listen to on the way home. Once he starts asking for some Fish, that's.
And your wife, who is very, very kind and innocent, she would say, "Oh, we don't have any Swedish fish."
Yeah.
He's like, "That's not what I'm looking for."
He's like, yeah, and then yeah.
And so it debuts in June. They missed an opportunity. If this would have been released on 4/20,
golden.
But it will
Gold.
be, 30, like the 30 for 30s. Once you did the Jordan documentary, they haven't, I don't know, a lot of them go straight to the ESPN Plus, and there haven't been as many good, like really, really good ones. I mean, again, Jordan is, when you come out with that and it's 10 parts. But this one, I saw the trailer. Hello. Does the Big Ten get Bill Walton?
I keep asking that. I
In the
keep
trade.
wanting them to get at least the West Coast games. Don't even ask him to travel.
So you'd only do 2 teams.
Yeah.
For a groovy time, it's late night in the Big Ten with Bill Walton.
Yes. Now, who would you pair him with? That's the question, because that's a big part of it.
Yeah, Dave Pasch isn't leaving ESPN.
No. Could you imagine Dave Revson?
Oh, jeez.
With Bill Walton?
How about Kugler?
Hey, see, I think
you guys know him. You can ask him.
I think Kevin could do it.
Kevin lose his mind with Walton?
I don't think he would.
He's worked with him before because Walton used to be at the Final Four.
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
He was on air with Westwood One. But it wasn't like he was sitting next to you for 2 hours just taking over the broadcast.
Yeah, I could. It would, if it's in doses, I could see Kugler actually somehow being very entertaining with Bill Walton. Now, after a while, I'm sure it does wear on you.
He and Pasch are quite the odd couple. They work really well together.
Pasch is a saint.
Ed says in the Equitable Bank inbox, just because of this, I'm keeping my ESPN Plus subscription for another month to watch the soundtrack of Bill Walton's life, a 4-part series on a 30 for 30.
It's going to be glorious.
I'm excited.
Halftime. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley at 1620 The Zone. Hey, Woodhouse Buick GMC is the place for you right now. Yeah, you want to go on a nice little run?
Woodhouse Buick GMC is for you at 119th and I. You're looking for a perfect car, truck, or SUV, new or pre-owned. You can find a wide variety of inventory today at 119th and I. You don't ever have to worry about the conditions outside. They've got a large showroom with plenty of inventory. You can't make it there? You can do it online. All at the click of a mouse at WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. They streamline the entire process because with the Woodhouse Auto family, they want to make it easy on you to get yourself behind the vehicle that you want today. In person, 119th and I, or online at WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a little bit of slowdown from 108th to 90th along L Street. On Dodge, looks like things were slowing down a little bit from 94th to 90th. And on Industrial Road, be prepared for a little bit of slowdown from 149th to 144th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
The Nebraska Lottery has raised over $923 million, which has helped to provide more than 117,000 college scholarships, save wildlife habitats across the state, and fund new facilities at the Nebraska State Fair. The Nebraska Lottery, helping to build a better Nebraska.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
At Murphy Tractor, we're committed to being your first choice when it comes to your compact and construction equipment needs. Each of our 29 locations has a diverse lineup of new, used, and rental equipment, along with a wide variety of parts inventory and experienced service technicians. Our field service capabilities will keep your machines moving and keep you on time. Let Murphy Tractor's John Deere equipment be your first choice. Give us a call at 855-246-9124 or visit us online at murphytractor.com.
If you've got heart, come on out to Werner Park. We're gonna make some memories with a Chasers family.
Join the Omaha Storm Chasers at Werner Park every Saturday for Bands and Brews presented by J&M Displays and Werner Enterprises. Each week will feature a different pregame concert and happy hour specials at the Bud Light Downdraft Bar in left field. Find details on each Saturday's Bands and Brews at omahastormchasers.com.
Everyone get on your feet, stir up the storm, we're family.
Were your golf clubs new during the Clinton administration? It's time, my friend. Hi, this is Dave Osted from Osted's Golf. Trade in your old clubs for a 50% trade-in bonus on new 2023 clubs. Get fit by one of the nation's top 100 fitters. Play the best new clubs, custom fit to your swing. Get a 50% bonus on your old clubs and make this your best season ever. Hurry, offer ends May 14th. See Osteds.com to make your fitting appointment.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Tickets for less. Fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Halftime brought to you by Heart Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off 680 and 48th Street next to Cubby's. It's Heart Cigars and Pipes Lounge.
All right, welcome back in. Hour number 3 on a Wednesday. How cool is it now for the Alec parents? They've got a daughter that is one of the top Nebraska volleyball players, and then they have a son who has gone on quite the journey from Lincoln North Star when I remember first seeing him because I went to take in the Donovan Williams experience, which was one hell of a roller coaster when he was at Lincoln North Star. So that got you in the building. You watched him, and then you always saw Josiah Alec, and you're like, man, there's a guy that's kind of raw, kind of gangly, a little Gumby-ish when he gets to the rim, but there was something there. And so he goes to Kansas City. So I got to see him in the Summit League for a couple of years, and he became more than just the guy with the big hair. He became pretty good, and then Kansas City made a coaching change. He ended up at New Mexico. He had 1 year there, and then he has 1 year of eligibility, and he makes it official yesterday that he's coming to play basketball at Nebraska. I thought, what a great deal for those parents, and it's quite a family. They got twins. They got another son that is autistic and played basketball at Waverly. Mom is a special education teacher. But for that family to have a daughter that is playing volleyball and now a son that's going to play his last year at Nebraska, I think that's pretty cool. That is a cool story. I mean, that's a neat moment for that family. So Josiah commits yesterday, and his sister is the star. And I don't know if his sister is not at Nebraska, is he at Nebraska? Even being a Lincoln kid from Lincoln North Star, and he's got 1 year to go. He had San Diego State. I don't understand the trip to Southern Illinois to take a look there. Nebraska makes sense for him at 6 foot. He's now about 6'8". He's not going to be walking the door and be all Big Ten guy. Again, if his sister's not at Nebraska, and he went and watched her play volleyball in Central City the other day. I don't know that he's at Nebraska, but it's an intriguing pickup for Fred because I think it's a piece. I don't think it's a flash. I think it's a piece, which there were a lot of flash and chasing that shiny object early on in the portal season. That Fred may just be grabbing pieces that make sense for what he started last year. But it's a good pickup. I think he will contribute. He actually may start at the 4. Imagine him and Gary will battle it out to start there. But it was just kind of cool. It's just like one of those moments. You had a Lincoln family that now has a daughter and a son that are playing at Nebraska, and that's cool because that's a really good family that they do a lot of stuff away from the floor. Becca is heavily involved in Special Olympics and,
that's
the
awesome.
things that Nebraska volleyball do. So that's one of the wins and the cool things about sports yesterday with Josiah committing to Nebraska to play basketball.
Well, and especially when sometimes the portal at this time of the year gets a little bit of the negative pub or a little bit of the narrative of, what are we really doing? And, based on it, and you've seen him a lot, especially in the Summit League as well, for a guy that held his own there at UMKC, but also now when you're looking at what Nebraska, and you're right, what Nebraska was chasing was a little bit more of like kind of the splashy guys and just, finding pieces, I think is probably the best way to put it. And for a guy that I think just there's going to be a comfort level. I think first and foremost, going to be a comfort level here at Nebraska. And, whether it's having the family right there, having his sister also, as such an elite type volleyball player, knowing that there's a little bit of that comfort, you wonder if that can kind of translate into his game, into his whatever his role will be at Nebraska. But that is, I think you kind of nailed it though. the bigger part of yesterday's announcement, I don't think people were running to saying, "Oh my gosh, this is great!" Like we've got this absolute stud that's coming in and is going to change the trajectory of this basketball team. It's a piece, could be an important piece, but more than anything, it's just kind of it's a nice story. It's a nice story for people who are aware of the family dynamic and now what you're adding to the basketball program on top of the volleyball program and having that family. That is probably the bigger part of yesterday's
I
news.
think
With
it's also so he's got a lot of energy. This is a big deal. He's got 1 year left. You know that he's going to do it right. He's going to give it everything he has. It's kind of they may have found, and he's not on the level that Sam is, but they may have found their Sam Greasel. Ironically, they're both Lincoln high school kids who may have gotten overlooked by Power 5 programs, and overlooked maybe is not the right word. They were not Power 5 guys coming out of either Lincoln East or Lincoln North Star, and they found their way to the Summit League, so a mid-major league, and they were a little bit raw. They just need to develop, and they go to a place and they have success. It's kind of like the Nebraska kids around here. A lot of them get overlooked, okay, because they don't have that, oh my gosh, talent that just bursts when you walk into the gym during the summertime. They're not like Bynum, who got the offer from Nebraska, or Frager, who got an offer from Nebraska and then got an offer from Creighton, playing for ETG Midwest and the run that, Braden has had over the last couple of weeks. But they're overlooked. The portal is what's for them. So they work their way up, they develop their game, they know that they can play on the next level, and they get that opportunity. And where Sam, and we saw the impact that he had, but also the impact of, man, I wanted to play for Nebraska. I'm a Lincoln kid. Kind of feel that. You don't have to worry about Josiah is going to be like, well, there's a portal guy. He was at New Mexico. They had success. What if Nebraska's 500? He's going to be a high-energy guy that is probably more, it fits with the locker room culture.
It's going to be a buy-in.
So I think, and I have my issues with Fred and how he constructs this roster, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. Actually, after the initial phase of the portal and chasing the shiny object, Ulis and now Alec, along with Mast and Williams, actually probably makes sense for what Fred started last year. Like, it's not the first 3 years, it's last year. Is it enough to put them over the top where they've got to be in the NCAA tournament, which that's my expectation? Maybe not. But at least that locker room part that was your problem for 3 years appears to be okay.
Well, yeah, and that was the big question, too, other than the obvious, where you're going to find the scoring, how's this thing going to take a significant step forward this year, was the type of guys that you lost when it just came to the locker room culture, and how could you replace that? And I don't think we're putting those expectations on the guys, but at the very least, you wanted to still be in a good place. That was always going to be part of, I think, Fred feeling like he could be comfortable with this roster, however they constructed it, is still having a little bit of that when it came to the locker room and that culture still intact. And then I hate saying this because I feel like we've done it every year. You get that established and you've got to figure out the rest. That's kind of what they're doing, figuring out the rest.
What do you think the expectation for him will be?
For
Alec?
I think just exactly what you said. I think you're looking for a guy that gives you quality minutes, more energy minutes. Because if I'm looking at what he did at UMKC, and there's a guy who scored 15 points a night there, but then you look at what he did in New Mexico, and he was more of an 8-point guy. I don't think he's a guy that you're looking that is going to give you maybe the double figures, but he's a guy that is going to have to be a strong defender and is going to have that energy of getting quality minutes out of there, where he's being smart when it comes to utilizing the foul situation, being on the floor, and providing that depth that they can have when it comes to the front court. Because right now it's interesting. I mean, you think about the guys that are still there. What have we asked about with Wilhelm Breidenbach? We don't know what his role is. Blaise Keita, is he a guy that can stay healthy? So if you're looking at that front court, then, Rink Mast, what he did at Bradley. But again, you're looking at the depth there and what you can get from those guys. They probably all do something a little bit different, but I think that the energy part of it, quality minutes, not necessarily expecting 12 points a night from him, but are you getting some solid rebounding abilities out of him? Those are the types of things that, based on what I can kind of read from his game, is probably what the expectation is going to be.
I mean, what do you think? What's going to happen with the 3-point shot?
I don't have expectation. Now, again, you've seen him more than I have, so I wouldn't
No,
put on him.
You got a great 3-point shooter. His game will be post and transition,
Yeah.
probably. There's also, again, does Nebraska have enough pieces to get him to the NCAA tournament in this offseason when you have to replace a Greasel and a Walker and you have the unknown of Juwan Gary staying healthy
Mm-hmm.
or whatever is the mystery of Ramel Lloyd, if he's legit or not, because that's kind of the X factor with this season. You didn't want to lose the offseason. Tominaga is not going to go anywhere. So you're gonna walk away from the offseason with 2 scholarships available. You may not use both of them. I think you got to use at least one. You got to find another piece, maybe even another guard. You didn't lose the offseason, so that's important. There's another
takeaway
from yesterday. Fred going to be able to recruit high school kids? Not recruit they can. Okay, they have a lot to offer. But win the high school kid. Because they lost a high school kid yesterday in Brady Dunlop, who committed to St. John's. Now, as the process got further along, I don't think Nebraska felt really good about their chances. They did initially, but as his time in Lincoln got a week later, 2 weeks later, they weren't feeling as good. And then the tip-off is, whether it's petty or not, you delete off your Instagram anything about Nebraska, which he did. He ended up going to St. John's. So Slick Rick, who's going to be scary in the Big East because he'll go to all ends of the earth to improve St. John's roster, just adds to the Big East is going to be a beast this upcoming season. But is Hoiberg going to be able to get the elite high school player? He can get the bounce back, maybe not the top of the bounce back list, but he's good in the portal selling. But will he be good without Abdel Massey getting the elite high school guy?
Yeah, and that is a big question right there of winning those battles, because there's the bounce back part of it is unfortunately is kind of what we continue to see with this roster. And I think there are going to be moments that can benefit your roster. But when you've already are going down that road of you're bringing guys that have limited years in front of them, limited years of eligibility, as opposed to guys, I know this day and age, it's not even probably realistic to expect them to stay at your school for 4 or 5 years, but to be able to start that process from scratch and hope like you're developing them within your program, you're developing them to be a part of that program from start to finish. You are not seeing that with this team. And I know, again, like I said, in college basketball, it is a little bit more rare, but you bring in the guy that has limited timetable to get it right. It's just not an ideal situation that at some point you're going to have those recruiting wins in high school. I mean, that is still the thing that gets lost in all this, especially in college basketball, is that is so important. And I would say it's very important for Nebraska to establish that at some point. It all kind of goes back to what we've seen Fred be able to do, or more importantly, what he has been unable to do when it comes to that consistency from the high school part of it.
Well, and I think if you look at like Creighton's roster construction, yeah, they've dipped their toe in the portal world, but they have the continuity of the high school kid. Now, they're able to recruit the high school kid better than Nebraska because they have a track record. You're going to need that in the day and age of the portal, if that's what you're going to live in. And again, Fred has some success there. You've got to have a little bit of a continuity of the high school kid of, hey, if we got 4 scholarships, 2 and 2, 3 and 1, but at least we have a core of 4 or 5 high school guys that came in here as high school seniors, and they came in as freshmen instead of the guy that's here for 2 years or 1 year. And I don't know if he can recruit the elite high school guy, not a role guy, but a guy that can start in the Big Ten and looks comfortable in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
that's not attached to Abdel Massey walking around the country with an ATM card from Bank of America.
That is the one thing that I don't know if anybody feels confident with right now, because we just haven't seen it. But it's important. It's absolutely important, even with transfers and the modern college game right now, with it being very dominated by transfers. The high school core group and developing it, it's still important. It just I think it gets overlooked in a lot of the discussions when we talk about where the game is going.
Let's get David before an update with Jimmy. David, thanks for the call. Welcome to 1620 The Zone.
What's happening, fellas?
Hey, David.
Hey,
I
so
knew you'd have a
I want to
comment
touch
on
real
this.
quick. What's that? I'm sorry.
I'm glad you called. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Well, I want to touch base on the baseball thing real quick. You guys were talking about earlier with these kids. So I think what it comes down to is major markets, right? Having star players in major markets. I mean, you would ask 10 years ago, roughly, you would have, especially here locally, you talk about Chicago and Royals. The Cubs and the Royals are prominent, right? So you got Baez, who probably would be most people's favorite player. You got maybe an Aaron Gordon, down in Kansas City. So I think you have to have a combination and/or of a star player in a major market, a national major market, or a local player that's on one of those teams that really generates that. And we don't really have it around here anymore because, we got the Ricketts running the organization, and then Kansas City's kind of still in rebuild mode. And these other, even if you think about the other major markets, yes, there's Ohtani and Trout, in kind of that LA market, but the Dodgers are the national team. And who's their marketable player? Freddie Freeman? That guy looks like he's ready to come install some software on my computer, and then, I think Acuna down in Atlanta needs some work. You got Aaron Judge, who's the obvious for the Yankees. I think I really like Jazz Chisholm. I think Jazz Chisholm is a majorly marketable player down in Miami. But, look at these major markets. Who do they have that they can really –
That's a great point.
And there's no local people around here that are making huge names for themselves currently. Maybe Bobby Witt, if he can do some good things, you start generating some of that. But I just kind of want to touch on that a little bit.
I would add Mookie Betts to the Dodgers one too.
Well, Mookie's, he's running the bases with a crane right now with a with a walker. So he's getting a little up there in age.
Right.
I don't know if people appreciate him as much as they probably should.
Yeah.
Oh, I do when I see him go play shortstop at Wrigley Field and turn a double play on the first ball ever hit to him. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can fix that. Hopefully the Cubs can fix that.
Yes.
More specifically, at least for my benefit.
All right, let's talk some recruiting.
Yeah, let's talk some recruiting. So, I think what I like to see and Hoiberg, I think, is hopefully catching on to the gist. As you guys probably seen, there was two big time offers to 2025, 2024 player here locally. Nebraska, football, even beyond football, basketball more specifically is going to benefit in keeping these homegrown kids here because we've seen it with Salas, right? Like if we are in the equation with, these other teams that are blue chip or maybe just outside of blue chip, we're going to lose. So they need to establish a seed early with these kids, and they need to ensure that we are keeping that homegrown talent here. You got Bynum, who is playing for Mocan, and is, it's not like he's just lighting up the world, but he is out there, and he is making news and every weekend about his play and his ability. He's averaging probably around 13 points a game in these tournaments, roughly 13 to 14. But the ability is there. He led Brian in every single statistical category this last year, other than steals, even 3-point percentage. So you have to. And he's 6'9".
Yeah, and he's still, and you've seen him,
play
David,
with his back to the basket.
and he's still a little bit raw. He's still got a ways to go. But I agree with everything you're saying about Amari.
Absolutely, and and he's got a great coach. The coach. He's he was an academic guy. Like he made academic all state teams. He's going to keep him in line from a character standpoint. He was a talented offensive player himself, so he can expand on that. There's probably a little bit to work on defensively still, but he's getting there. And then you got Braden Frager, who is just athletic as all get out. Like I don't know if you've seen this kid, but a lot of people probably don't know. I would compare his athleticism to Carter Nelson. I've seen them both together. They actually played together when I seen them, and it just the ability to get to the basket, the ability to shoot the ball, and he's still got a couple years to develop in a program that's on the lift. And the one thing I want to touch on with you, Gary, is I know I called in the past. I talked about this Lincoln versus Omaha. There were 3 Lincoln offers yesterday and only one Nebraska, or excuse me, only one Omaha offer. You got Dak, and you got Dak. Excuse me, you got Dak, who's going to Sunrise Christian now, right?
Yep.
Van got Dak,
Yep.
and then you got Frager with Nebraska and Creighton, recognizing that talent. And then you got Trayson Anderson, who's getting an offer from North Dakota State now.
Yeah,
So
the day before got one from Wyoming. He's the Pius. For people who don't know, he's
and
Pius.
yep, absolutely, and Wyoming. So I'm telling you, Lincoln's closing the gap. But I think that's a great thing, to be honest with you, because I think there's still a whole bunch of talent that's still out there. I mean, we talked about Chuck Love in the past.
Which
it's here locally.
So
Jaden Jackson.
Hey, does it surprise you, David, that Nebraska hasn't offered Chuck Love?
So I don't know if Love's quite put together what Amari's been doing on the AAU circuits, at least from what I've seen. It's not like I'm going to these things live, guys. I'm seeing what's being put out there. I'm following, and I'm making sure that I'm calling out whoever's having success from the Nebraska level. But there's even small town guys like Kate Cook and Marcus Glock.
Glock has taken off at Wahoo.
Absolutely, Marcus Glock is getting a lot of pub right now, and we have guys in state, and I think Hoiberg would maybe catching on. I'm hoping with these offers that his best chance is to take these homegrown, keep that homegrown state or keep that talent from the home in state, develop, and then use the portal to bring in those guys that are looking for a new home to prove themselves more than they've been able to, and mix that. I think that is the perfect combination, because these kids in state, they have a lot more. They have a lot more willingness, or they know what it means more to wear that to wear that red.
Yeah.
I think we've seen it in the spring game. You got Maverick Noonan, Gage Stanger. There's a few other people. I'm keeping my mind right now, but there's about 4 Omaha guys that made play.
Teggy, Bullock. Yep. Noonan. Yep.
And there's one thing that kids can control, and it's whether I'm talking to my kids or I'm talking to people I've managed in the past, there's one thing you can control. It's your effort. And I think you get a little more of it from these Nebraska kids when they're wearing that in.
Yep. Hey, David, I appreciate the call. We do 4 hours every single day on in-state recruiting with all Nebraska sports. David, thanks for the call. A little bit later, Ed Service, who doesn't have any problems recruiting in-state. They got a big series with Creighton baseball this weekend. First place, Jays, Brandon Vogel as well. A little past time, we'll get in a update here with Jimmy.
Despite a brief rally in the 7th inning, the Storm Chasers could not come back from a 6-run 6th inning as they drop the series opener with the Louisville Bats 10-4 yesterday at Werner Park. Game 2 later this morning. Left-hander Austin Cox takes the mound for the Storm Chasers at 11:05. And if you're wondering who the opposing pitcher is today, it's Chase Anderson. Not quite the same. Creighton Volleyball releases their 2023 schedule. The Jays will play 11 regular season home matches and also participate in tournaments at Purdue, Omaha, and Minnesota. 9 of their non-conference opponents owned 20 or more wins last season, combining to go 240 and 112. All 11 of them owned a top 85 RPI. 10 appeared in the postseason, and 4 won a conference title last season. The season begins in mid-August with the annual Blue-White scrimmage on August 12th. Followed a week later with an exhibition match against defending Big Sky champion Northern Colorado. That'll be on August 19th. Omaha baseball falls to Missouri State 11-9 last night in Kansas City. The Bears rally again and again. It was a slugfest. The Mavs return home this weekend for their final home series of the year as they host Western Illinois for 3. Man, it goes fast.
Oh, yeah.
Really fast. Last night in hockey, the Seattle Kraken show no hangover from their Game 7 win in Denver as they score 12-17 into overtime to win 5-4 over the Dallas Stars in Game 1 of their second-round playoff series. That's despite 4 goals from Joe Pavelski. 4 goals. And he came back after missing the final 5 games of the opening round while in concussion protocol. His efforts weren't enough to save the Stars, however. The Kraken escape in overtime and lead the series 1-0. And the Florida Panthers keep their momentum going after upsetting the mighty Boston Bruins by winning Game 1 in Toronto 4-2 over the Maple Leafs. Tonight, the other 2 series get underway with the Hurricanes hosting the Devils and the Golden Knights hosting the Edmonton Oilers. By the way, one game in basketball this evening, only one. Game 2 between the Celtics and Sixers in Boston. Game time decision for MVP Joel Embiid. Hey, Adam Schefter is just reporting that that former Packers receiver Randall Cobb is going to agree to a 1-year deal with the Jets, reuniting him with Aaron Rodgers.
Yep. Get them all back. Getting his buddies back in there.
See what Jordy Nelson and Donald Driver are doing and get everyone back.
Jordy being an analyst.
It'd be tough as a Green Bay fan to see how happy Aaron is. It's like when you get divorced. I got divorced a little bit different. I didn't pay any attention to her. She could have the worst life in the world, and I could care less. I've said that before. That isn't anything new.
That's true.
But you know, like if you get divorced or you have a breakup, you don't want to see the person you broke up with like happy.
Yeah, even if you
and
say
revitalized,
you do. Yeah.
and all of a sudden doing new exciting things.
Right.
You want them to be absolutely miserable, or you hope that you find that person that does that to you. Like that's where I see the Packers and the Jets right now. As a Packer fan, and you see, hey, we're getting the band back together. We're comparing Garrett Wilson to Devontae Adams.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, geez, come on, Jordan Love. Come on, Jordan Love. But you see Aaron Rodgers now looks younger.
Mm-hmm.
He's at the Rangers games. He's at the Knicks
He
games.
was with Sauce last night.
He's having fun. He's having fun with his new bow.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh.
Yeah,
Gosh,
no.
I want you to be miserable.
He's supposed to be back in a cave in darkness and, contemplating life and maybe even contemplating retirement. And even there's going to be Packer fans out there to say, you know what, he gave us some really good years and I will always respect him for that. But I guarantee you, in your mind, the first sign of struggle that Aaron Rodgers shows, you're going to get a little giddy. You absolutely will.
You break up with someone, you want them to be miserable. You don't want to see them all of a sudden be happy.
No matter what you say, because I think try and take the high road. Sometimes people will publicly or vocally express like, "Oh, I just want what's best for them." But do you really?
Yeah.
But do you really?
Be honest. It's okay.
Because A-Rod does look younger.
He does.
Yeah.
He
looks 31.
Like in the last week, some of the stuff he's saying, he looks really, really happy. Maybe you're happy for him.
You got a Manhattan haircut there too.
I would be like,
I saw that.
Gosh, I hope you're miserable.
Yeah.
And I hope Jordan Love is able to give us some happiness.
I don't.
The Chiefs re-signed one veteran running back, Jerick McKinnon, to a 1-year contract while declining the 5th-year option on the contract of another in Clyde Edwards-Helaire yesterday. You trust in Brett Veach.
Oh, goodbye, CEH.
Yep.
CEH.
That's how it goes.
We just the day before they did a new deal with McKinnon.
Yeah.
We got Pacheco. We're fine.
Exactly. And he played really well.
But his star has fallen pretty quick. Availability is everything. Hold on to the football.
Yep. Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer are returning to the mound, perhaps fittingly in Detroit against a team that they helped have its last run of success. The 40-year young Verlander is scheduled to make his Mets debut Thursday against the Tigers, who drafted him back in 2004 before trading him to the Astros in 2017. His season opening start was delayed due to a back injury, maybe because he's 40 years old. The 38-year-old Scherzer is due to pitch today for the first time since April 19th when he was ejected. I'd make sure I had my days right. When he was ejected for violating the MLB's foreign substance policy. The series opening game last night was postponed due to rain and will be made up as part of a doubleheader today.
Jimmy, we appreciate it. 8:35. Again, at top of the hour, Ed Service stops by. Brandon Vogel as well. The portal is closed, but is it closed for Nebraska? We will figure that out. Also, found it interesting that Finley, the quarterback at Auburn, is in the portal. Who was just in Alabama?
Casey Thompson.
Yeah. Put 2 and 2
Things
together.
are happening.
Who does Auburn? Auburn usually plays a sexy non-con game.
Yeah, they do.
Who do they?
Last year at Penn State. Let's see. They always have one.
Let's see. Who does Auburn have this year?
Don't know anything, but that seems kind of interesting. The guy that's played a little football at Auburn, the quarterback, is in the portal, and Casey Thompson was
It isn't
on campus.
UMass.
Like a Cal.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe not as sexy
Samford.
this year.
Not Stanford.
Yeah,
Samford.
I noticed you were missing a T.
Yep.
New Mexico State on November 18th.
Yeah, so they're taking a break this year, sounds like.
Hugh Freeze will get off to a great start.
Taking a little break.
All right, we're back with more Mornings with Sharp and Handley after this. Hey, the NBA playoffs are here, and now you can turn crossovers into cash with FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com, use the promo code ZONE right now and place a $5 bet, and you'll get an instant $150 back in bonus bets, win or lose. Look at that line tonight. It is jumping. Boston, a 10.5-point favorite.
Yeah, and of course, you got also the LA and Golden State series going into game 2 later on with Golden State an early 5.5 points favorite for that. With all of that at FanDuel. Great promotions every day, safe and secure app. And best of all, you get paid instantly. No better place to bet all of the playoff action than America's #1 sports book. Just go to FanDuel.com/zone and sign up to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet your first $5. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 plus and present in Iowa. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
So the college football playoff is essentially saying we're going to be competing directly with the NFL.
I know they're king, but they will lose audience because of the playoff. Like, I will be much more apt to watch the playoff than I will the NFL. I think you will be the same. I know not everyone will be the same. There's a lot of college and pro football fans.
Sure there are.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from Canoyer Garden Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Potential for a top 10 day Wednesday. Chilly early on, but expect nothing but sunshine. Fantastic in the afternoon with just a light breeze. Highs in the low to mid 70s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have a couple of accidents to report, starting with one along South 96th Street at Portal Road, so please be cautious if you're in that area. And we're also getting reports of an accident near 90th and Blair High Road at Potter Street, so please be cautious if you're in that area as well. And we're also getting reports of traffic signals flashing red along Fort at Parkview Drive. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This Time-Saving Traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Reason 15 to celebrate 30 years of Fernando's.
Simply put, margaritas are pretty friggin' delicious.
Winner of first place in 2023's Best of Omaha's Best Mexican Restaurant. Come in and get your Fernando's fix.
The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Email me, Connor Happer, with the Connor Happer Show at Connor, CONNOR, at 1620thezone.com. Send me your love, your hate, and maybe a few hot takes. The Zone Inbox, presented by Equitable Bank.
It's good to be able to make a change, to never feel stuck. That's why at Cox, we're making a change too. Now Cox Internet plans are flexible, so you can choose to just go with Internet, add TV tomorrow, or home automation down the line. It's easier than ever to get just what you want and nothing you don't. Flexible plans from Cox. Change anytime. No commitments, no penalties. See for yourself at cox.com/internet. Additional services can be added at then current regular rates. All services subject to residential customer service agreement and acceptable use policy. Restrictions apply.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 3.5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
At Metal Supermarkets, we're all about getting you and your crew to quit in time sooner. That's why our service is a cut above. You see, no matter the project, we'll get you to the right metal, shape, and grade. Cut to any size, ready real fast. And yeah, we'll deliver, leaving plenty of time for the important things. like opening an ice-cold can of aluminum. To find a store near you, go to metalsupermarkets.com.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 11th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let us handle all the details steps away on the south side of Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination. Blur Events takes care of all the work so you can enjoy the day.
At Metal Supermarkets, we're all about getting you and your crew to quit in time sooner. That's why our service is a cut above. You see, no matter the project, we'll get you to the right metal, shape, and grade. Cut to any size, ready real fast. And yeah, we'll deliver, leaving plenty of time for the important things, like opening an ice-cold can of aluminum. To find a store near you, go to metalsupermarkets.com.
Make the right call, fans. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferees. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Aerosmith is coming to Omaha this year. They bring their Peace Out Farewell Tour and 50th anniversary with special guests, the Black Crowes, to the Chai Friday, November 10th. Tickets on sale this Friday, May 5th at 10 a.m. Head to 1620thezone.com now. You get entered to win tickets. Get all the details at 1620thezone.com.
So I was thinking off of David's call. David always jokes with us. We should have a high school portal show. May 1 has come and gone around here.
It has.
So if you know the high school scene, you gotta be at your destination by May 1 to be able to play in the fall. And you've had a lot of movement in the Omaha high school ranks of people looking for opportunities to better themselves in a lot of different ways. So that has been a topic wherever you go. You follow high school sports. People go, well, there's all this portal movement. People are doing best for them. We really couldn't have a great show this year in Omaha because there's not as much movement as has happened in the past. But you know where you could do a show this year? And maybe this is where the Lincoln high school basketball talent is catching up to the Omaha high school basketball talent. There is a ton of movement this year in Lincoln. For the longest time, people complain about Omaha. Everybody's transferring all over the place. Well, wait till you find out in Lincoln when it comes to football and boys basketball. There are people that starting 11, starting 5s are going to look significantly different at schools in Lincoln. So welcome. You guys are finally getting it. All right. We're welcome, Lincoln. We're glad to have you. But in all honesty, the high school basketball talent in Lincoln this year is going to be really, really good. I mean, they got some good coaches. They now have a commitment to a year round. And, you have better recruiters. And I'm not joking. You got to have recruiters. You say, well, it's high school sports, the purity. Oh, come on now. Look where we're living.
If you're not recruiting, someone else
Does
is.
the NSA have a way to track portal activity?
Who?
The Nebraska Schools Activities Association.
They've got rules. As long as you follow the rules, you're good.
Mm-hmm. Residents and whatnot. And yeah. Okay. The open now is the Lincoln system when it comes to open enrollment, is that similar to what Omaha has as far as
I don't know that for in depth like I do here, but the NSA does have rules.
Yeah.
And if you follow the NSA rules, there's nothing you can do. But there's a lot of basketball, there will be a significant movement. Football, there's a couple of names that Nebraska is recruiting that I believe have new destinations for this upcoming fall. Question here. This is from Ed, and he heard our call with David, and we were talking about Chuck Love, who
is in the mix, is one of those better players in Lincoln. And he goes, no offer from Nebraska, question mark. Now, I don't know if he's being sarcastic or not, but I don't think Nebraska basketball can offer Chuck Love.
Can I ask why?
Well, when his dad was dismissed from Amy Williams' staff
Oh,
for personal matters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing against the kid. He's
Yeah.
he's a good kid and he's a good basketball player. I don't know if Nebraska men's basketball can offer him.
That's right, because you would have, unfortunately. Okay. Yeah. Ooh. Hopefully that's not where you wanted to play.
He's got, I think Mizzou was one of the first offers that he had. So
And they're on their way.
He's going to have, he will have options, but it's one of those unfortunate things. I mean, that's where I would, now that's just me speculating that there's any like edict of, hey,
Like that was part of the separation of.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're not going to be able to offer Son, because if it was not the case, Chuck Love would have been offered in the last year by Nebraska.
So that still lingers. Yeah, I mean, I understand it, I guess, but that's unfortunate.
Not unfortunate. I don't know if you what you're doing in January of 2025, January of 2026. I'm going to tell both you guys I've already put in for vacation.
Begin a year older.
So football nirvana was announced yesterday with college football playoff.
Yeah, how about that schedule? All of it.
Are we gonna be able to afford in college football to go to games?
Probably not at some point.
Yeah, likely not.
You're going to be traveling all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2027, when they move the college football schedule up a week and week 0 becomes week 1, good luck to everybody in the South and the Midwest. Instead of getting those like 2 or 3 really, really warm games, you're going to have another week of warm football. But they're going to move it up because they don't want to mess with the NFL. The NFL is king. So in 2027, college football would look completely different in the calendar. And then that would mean that the Black Friday, the Saturday of Thanksgiving, the big game, they would be moved up a week.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be messing with your in-laws trying to watch your favorite rivalry game. It'd just be normal. And then Thanksgiving weekend would be the championship games. But in 25 and 26 announced yesterday, when we expand the playoff, I was the first to do it. You guys can follow along. I highly recommend this. It actually, whoever is coming into the White House should make it just a national day off for a 5-day stretch. So in 2025, when we expand the college football playoff to 12, and we already have the expanded NFL playoffs, January 9th, college semifinal. January 10th, college semifinal. Saturday, January 11th, 2 playoff games. The next day, 3 playoff games. And then that Monday night playoff game. That is football nirvana.
Yep.
You have 5 straight days of games that have significant importance, winner take all, the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th in 2025. Already put in for vacation. I will not
Bring
be here.
it on. This is the time that when we started seeing the expansion and wondering how it was going to work. And you're starting to see the schedule kind of lay out too. And you look at back-to-back playoff days like that and just like a stretch of days with playoff football. I know there's people that they might have their ideal number in mind, but having the playoff football, having that stacked the way that it is, I mean, dare I say, is there a little March Madness element to that? A little bit of,
I mean, they hope
gearing up for the day. I mean, that has always been its own thing, and again, it's still going to remain its own unique way of getting people excited in the spring like that. But man,
it's football heaven.
It is. It really is.
Now, so college football on the calendar, they're going to have to do something with the portal in December, because if you're playing in the games, if you're lucky enough to be playing in those opening round games where you're playing on campus, and you've also got to recruit, you got to do the portal, you got to do all that stuff. So college football is going to have to adjust their calendar. I mean, it's now going to become a year-round sport. That month of July that basically you have off is going to be impacted because in 2027, if they don't want to mess with the NFL, they're going to have to move up a week. Week 0 is going to become week 1. And if the Michigans and the Ohio States and the Alabamas and the Auburns play fair and they say, yeah, we have no problem moving up a week, because they're Thanksgiving Saturday, the Black Friday game. We'll move up, and then championship games take place on Thanksgiving weekend. But here's another part of, is it going to be too expensive for us to be college football fans? Can you imagine trying to buy airline tickets for Thanksgiving weekend to go to your college football championship game when you don't know if your team's going to be in it or not?
Yeah.
And it's going to be either a last minute week or a couple of weeks out, and it's Thanksgiving weekend,
Yeah, that's
and
a
you
good
got to
point.
purchase tickets?
It's not going to be easy. Yeah, that's a good point.
You hope that your championship game is within driving distance, so you don't even think twice about driving 13 hours. It's going to get expensive, especially if you want to follow your team and they're in the playoff.
Right.
You're going to go to Columbus, Ohio, and then you're going to bounce to Los Angeles, and then you're going to go to New Orleans, and then you're going to go to Miami. If that's what you want to do, they're going to put us out of business. That's why invest in that OLED. All right, buy that big screen. Watch the football at home. Maybe pick a one game to go to.
Remember yesterday's discussion about a big TV in your bedroom? This continues that.
Well, remember we were talking about how, Nebraska would be so attractive for a lot of Bulls because given the drought that they've had and, using that 1 year or that one destination where you get to go to the postseason game, the bowl game, and boy, it's going to be exciting. A lot of people would go. What if you're one of those teams that has a very loyal fan base, they follow you, and they got to follow you all throughout the time? We always talk about this in College World Series, about teams and fan bases that are there from day one, and then they've got to stick around for the duration of the College World Series and how expensive that gets because you're in a hotel every night. Well, it's probably amplified even more when you're talking about flights, unless you're willing to travel across the country, which you're dealing with gas as well. Also hotels. Man, that is a hefty ticket. That is going to be very expensive.
I hope that Bucknuts guy that is at every Ohio State game, if he has saved up his money.
You think the university gives him some type of perk or takes something off of his travel? Is he part of the traveling party?
I don't know. I used to think that they didn't like him, but he always ends up in the front row.
He does.
So he has access to good seats. I always thought you would know this, Jimmy, as a Cowboy fan, the guy that dressed as a cowboy.
Yeah.
That the Cowboys always hated that guy, but he always had access.
And then
I know he's passed away, but he was when they were at
Crazy Ray. That's
Crazy
who it
Ray
was.
at Texas Stadium. He was everywhere.
Yeah.
But the Bucknuts
He was
guy,
on the field.
The Bucknuts guy is in the front row of every Ohio State game. Ironically, the camera finds him. Shock.
Yeah.
But you got to have some cash. There's got to be a good backstory there. But it's going to be expensive. It's going to be expensive to be a college football fan. But we're going to go from Nirvana to, do we play with the NFL or do we go against the NFL? Because if you all of a sudden make the Saturday before Labor Day is actually the start of the college football season, or you take away, you just start and you play 12 straight weeks, it's going to affect a lot of people. I can't imagine nobody's going to agree to say, hey, we'll just play 12 straight weeks. You're going to be starting the end of August. It'll turn over the college football world, but I think they're going to have to go that way to avoid the NFL in 27.
So week 0 just won't exist.
And it just becomes week 1.
Yeah, week
and the
1.
college football, instead of we get used to Labor Day weekend is the start of college football, and we end college football on Thanksgiving, everything's just moved up a week.
Aer Lingus Classic, whatever. They'll all be played on that same weekend.
Ed Service, head baseball coach of Creighton. Now, they didn't have to worry about that. They're not playing in December. They are playing this weekend against Xavier at the Chuck. That's a huge series. Good start for Creighton. They enter May, and they're in first place in the Big East. The head Jay will join us coming up in the next segment. Also, Brandon Vogel as well before we're out of here at 10. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. It's the 5K giveaway on 1620 The Zone. Enter to win a $5,000 shopping spree right now at 1620thezone.com. It's the 5K giveaway on 1620 The Zone.
The Saul's Jewelry and Loan Warehouse is bursting at the seams. So we're throwing a huge warehouse liquidation auction event to clear out some space and give you a chance for lower than low prices on great items. It's 50,000 square feet of deals on bikes, mowers, snow blowers, pressure washers, tools, equipment, and so much more. Preview the auction May 5th. Live auction May 6th and 7th. Get to the Saul's Warehouse Liquidation Auction.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
From basketball to volleyball, baseball to softball, soccer, tennis, and so much more, the Creighton sports season is packed with action. The 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law, covers it all. Each week, we visit with Blue Jay athletes and coaches to hear their stories and document their climb through the Big East Conference. The 1620 The Jays podcast drops each Friday morning and is found at 1620thezone.com and all major podcast platforms. Just search 1620 The Jays. Covering all things Creighton Blue Jays, it's the 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law from 1620 The Zone.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $22 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
Tell us how you feel on the J-Tech Construction and Solar Zone Twitter feed. Reach Gary, Nick, Connor, Josh, and John anytime on the J-Tech Construction and Solar Zone Twitter feed. Contact the official exterior and solar experts of the Huskers. J-Tech Construction at yourexteriorexperts.com.
It's spring. Now is the best time to shop at Lanahaw for all things garden or landscape. Our garden center is filled with the largest selection of homegrown plants, flowers, trees, and more. The area's best mulch and soil available for delivery and pickup. Rooted in quality, unmatched value. Lanahaw Nurseries, 192nd and Center.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have a couple of accidents to report, starting with one along South 96th Street at Portal Road, so please be cautious if you're in that area. Then we're also getting reports of an accident near 90th and Blair High Road at Potter Street, so please be cautious if you're in that area as well. Then we're also getting reports of traffic signals flashing red along Fort at Parkview Drive. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Lanahaw Nurseries.
It's spring. Now is the best time to shop at Lanahaw for all things garden or landscape. Our garden center is filled with the largest selection of homegrown plants, flowers, trees, and more. The area's best mulch and soil available for delivery and pickup. Rooted in quality, unmatched value. Lanahaw Nurseries, 192nd and Center.
Dino here with Leach Camper Sales in Council Bluffs. And this Saturday, we're kicking off camping season with our annual open house event. Right, Ed?
Right. For over 60 years now, we look forward to the first Saturday in May when the camping season begins, officially because we're having our open house. We'll be doing face painting things going on too. And most importantly, come check out the discounted prices on our top brand RVs, both brand new and pre-enjoyed. From truck toppers to pop-ups, travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, and Class C motorhomes, and special deals on selected brand new 2022 models.
That's right, Chief. Almost all 22 models with blowout prices and a $1,000 gift card to the parts department.
Get ready for spring camping. It's finally here. We're the Heartland's family-owned local dealer and easy to find next to Lake Manawa in Council Bluffs and at leachcamper.com.
And Stoich's hot dogs from Stoich's House of Sausage.
And don't forget, the coffee's always on.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, as the calendar flips to May and at the end of the month, we have the NCAA field, and the road to Omaha will be set. Creighton's in a good spot. They've won 4 in a row. Now, as they come into the month of May, where they only leave Omaha one time before the conference tournament, that's go to New Jersey. Have a huge series this weekend with Xavier, beginning on Friday night at 6, night game on Saturday, and then an 11 a.m. game on Sunday at the Chuck. We welcome in the head coach, Ed Service. Coach, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, you've been in this a long time, not just at Creighton, but you've been around the game for a long time. Can we talk about Sunday in Indianapolis, about how crazy that game was when you factor in another come-from-behind victory, you have the weather involved, and you've got Hogan Helixo, his father, and the Helixos are from Elkhorn. He's filming the game so people that are not there can watch it. But you get to the bottom of the ninth, you got hail, you got a downpour, you got all this weather stuff. You're trying to get the game in. How crazy was Sunday? And then, oh, by the way, you came back in the 11th and won.
You know, I'm from Wisconsin, so I'm used to playing in a lot of different kind of weather, but I've never played through hail before. So that was interesting. The temperature changed probably 10 or 15 degrees within a matter of a few minutes. And then some of the players were kind of protecting themselves because the hail was coming down. And the strange thing about it is the umpires were thinking about playing through it. So I was a little bit concerned about that. The field became white, and we were still out there. So I'm going, what are we doing here? You know, we had plenty of time. I know it's getaway day, but the game had moved along pretty fast. So we still had roughly an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours to get the last inning or two in. So I didn't understand why we tried to play through the hail, but we came to our senses eventually and figured it out.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Usually, we've seen light. Well, you guys experienced this against Nebraska, where there was kind of lightning off in the distance,
Sure.
and out of precautionary, you put them in. You would think maybe that the first pebble of hail would probably be an indicator there. But I mean, what do you take away from a weekend like that? You go through, adversity right there, just kind of dealing with elements that are beyond your control. But we've seen this team now, as of late, win in dramatic fashion. We've seen really at the end of April too, especially in conference play. You guys have, had some of that pitching and defense that we're accustomed to seeing Creighton teams have under your leadership. But also we've seen some games where you guys have had to outslug some teams too. But just overall, how do you kind of summarize these last few weeks?
Well, it's good. It's kind of been the season for us. We've been a little bit up and down. We've been inconsistent. We've been inconsistent in each game. And we find ourselves still having an opportunity to win late. I give our guys a ton of credit for, these late game heroics. It seems to be a different guy almost every day. And that's a good sign, but I'm still looking for us to play a complete 9 innings. In each game that we played this year, all 37 or whatever it's been, there's been glimpses of what I thought we would be. But then we always have an inning or so where we kind of stub our toes. We're giving up way too many big innings in our games that we're not accustomed to giving up. And the good thing is the last 2 games against Butler, we did not do that. So that trend has to continue if we want to be successful here these next 11 games.
Creighton in first place with a big series against Xavier this weekend. UConn is on the horizon as Creighton is home for 8 of their last 11 games. As you look, and when we had you on before the start of the season, the locker room, the clubhouse is so important to you. And that, you spent a lot of time with guys. It's a long season. You go through your ups and downs. But I want to go back. And so the crazy series in Indianapolis, and you win the game on Sunday on getaway day after all the weather stuff in the 11th inning with your solid 3-4-5 with Clifford, Lozano, and Grace. But I want to go back, and I'm looking at your team, and you ride the ups and downs of the midweek games, but on the weekend against the Big East competition, you've done very well. If I had to look at your team and go, okay, what's the DNA? Could I point to that series against St. John's a couple of weeks ago? Because you had the Friday night game where you had to put up a 5 spot in the 8th, but I was there for the Sunday game. I almost thought about leaving, Ed, when it was 7-2. I'm like, it's Sunday. It's kind of like, all right, get this game over. And the next thing you know, you rally to win that game in crazy fashion. Is that kind of the series that is the microcosm of your season?
Yeah, it is, in so many ways. We're still trying to figure each other out a little bit. And I know it's strange to hear that because it's late in the season. But I do give the guys a lot of credit for fighting in there. It did not look good against St. John's. We did not. We were very flat early. We were struggling on the mound, and then they caught fire the second half of the game, and then we walk it off again in the bottom of the ninth. But that's kind of where we're at, and I wish we were a little further along. And I'm hopeful that that game against St. John's, and then the 2 games against UNLV last week, and then the 3 games at Butler, it gives us a little bit better understanding of how to do this for 9 innings versus just waiting to the second half of the game. We've got to get off to better starts, and we can't afford to get behind 7-1 with the teams we have left on our schedule. It's just not going to work out that way. So that'll be the theme as we gear up for Friday. Is let's get off to a better start, a faster start.
Yeah, and when going back to the conversation we had to begin the season, if you're kind of looking at what would maybe be the identity of this team, and again, I'll bring up pitching and defense under Ed Service always seems to be the way Creighton has its most success. But, at times we've seen, as I mentioned before, some offensive power and being able to do things in that, that realm. Is there anything about this team that has maybe surprised you one way or the other?
Well, I think we're playing at a high level defensively. We kind of stubbed our toe in the midweek against UNLV last week. But, I wasn't sure what our third base shortstop situation was going to look like before the season started. Nolan Clifford has done an outstanding job at short. Ben North has truly been a surprise at third defensively. And then moving Sterling Hayes to first base has really kind of tightened up that defense. We knew what we had in Andrew Meggs at second base.
Yeah.
We just didn't know exactly what we were going to do in those other 3 spots. So defensively, I think we're playing at the level that can help us win. And now our pitchers are starting to throw more strikes. We had 2 games this weekend where we only walked 1 batter. That's kind of been holding us back a little bit. It's not just us; it's across the board. Walks are way up, and I don't understand that because there is more emphasis on defense now, not just at our place but across the board. We're walking too many hitters, and we did a much better job this past weekend. So I think the surprise has been maybe we're playing defense at a higher level than I anticipated, because I didn't realize what we were going to do in the infield, coming out of fall ball. And some of those guys have done just a tremendous job.
Ryan Wyndham, surprise or who you thought he would be?
Probably a little bit more surprise. Ryan came off of an arm injury, and he had been a bullpen piece for us most of his time here. We wanted to run him into the rotation because I like experience on that weekend. And Ryan had been a part of our program for 5 years. He's got the poise and composure to handle some of that stuff that takes place on a weekend. And I think he's even more comfortable in that Saturday role. He did a nice job for us Friday. We moved him back to Saturday. He had a really good outing against Butler. But I just didn't know if we could get 4 or 5 innings out of him consistently on a weekend. And he's given us 5 to 7 innings. So he's been a nice surprise.
Well, and another pitcher that I think has been kind of interesting to follow this year is Tommy Steyer, given how important he was a year ago. We've seen, some challenges this year, but we've also seen him be able to kind of rebound and, then kind of have that short memory. What has this year kind of been like to Tommy compared to, the previous year where he had so much success, and it was real consistent success too?
Well, it's hard to duplicate what Tom did last year.
Yeah.
And I think Tommy tried to do that. And I think he put a little bit more pressure on himself. And he was hitting a lot of batters early in the season, which we didn't see last year at all. And but he's much more comfortable these last 3 or 4 weeks. He just been himself again, and he's throwing more strikes. And that's the only thing I worry about. Tom rarely gives up a lot of hits, but he gets himself in trouble sometimes with hitting batters and walking hitters. But he's just a lot more comfortable. I think we still have to find out, how many times can we use him before we see a drop-off. And we only used him once last weekend against Butler. I would assume we're going to have to probably use him a couple times this weekend against Xavier. But I think with Tommy, the more we use him, the better he is. So hopefully we got situations where we can use him a couple times this weekend.
Ed Service, head baseball coach at Creighton, joining us. Huge series this weekend, 3-game set against the Musketeers of Xavier. And it's also the Salute to Service game, which is always a great moment. That's the middle game of the set on Saturday night, Friday and Saturday night, 6 o'clock, 11 a.m. on Sunday. So the weekend for all the coaches in college baseball, the weekend is the most important because that kind of determines your positioning in your conference tournament, and you're in a good enough conference for the most part. You get a little boost, and it'll help you when you got to put that NCAA resume out there. But how do you balance? Because you're not alone. Nebraska's not alone. There's other schools. How do you balance playing that Tuesday, Wednesday game with the same intensity when you're not having your 1, 2, and 3 guy compared to on the weekend? Because I think we're seeing more, as I would call them, upsets, Ed, on Tuesday, Wednesday games that I can recall in a long time.
Yeah, certainly there are a ton of them taking place, and that's a really tough situation. I really, to be honest, I haven't figured it out yet. Because I want our players to be competitive. I want us to be these midweek games we play here between Nebraska, Kansas State, Kansas. They're every bit as tough as our weekend situation. Sometimes the midweek game can be a little bit of a lesser opponent. Not for us. Not we're a Big 10, Big 12 country here, so we're playing those folks every Tuesday and Wednesday, and it's really, really hard, especially with your bullpen, because you're trying to figure out, okay, if I use a guy like Tommy Steyer on a Tuesday, how many pitches do I allow him to throw? And will he then be available on Friday? And if I win the game on Tuesday, am I setting myself up to lose the game on Friday? So that enters your mind as you get into the middle part of the game. The good thing is we are starting to develop a little bit more starting pitching, so we can not have to run 7, 8, 9 guys out there on a midweek game. We can maybe make it a 3 or 4 pitcher game. And so it's getting a little bit better, but I really struggle with how we manage that midweek game. Try to win it because we're all competitive, and then not get myself in a situation where I don't have my guys available on Friday. And after all these years, I still haven't figured it out.
Well, and it's a good point you bring up there, because I think a lot of us, especially, used to watching you play Omaha and in Nebraska and some of the televised games. You do see a lot of interchanging of the pitchers, but as of even recently, though, it does seem like you have been able to stick with the guy maybe a little bit longer than what we've seen in previous years. Is that kind of the depth you're speaking of, as far as maybe some starting pitchers and guys that you can kind of maybe tab as your midweek guy? Or, do you also sometimes see it as an opportunity, sort of a bullpen opportunity for your guys that you're going to use in the weekend as well? Like, again, kind of coming down to like just managing that situation.
Well, we've tried to develop that fourth starter, and it's easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting closer to doing that. We've had a couple guys go out there at midweek games this year. Tommy Gross did it on Wednesday against UNLV, gave us 4 innings. That's great. We're not asking that midweek starter to go 6 or 7.
Right.
I mean, if he could, that'd be fantastic. But that midweek starter's got to get you into the game. He's got to pitch. He's got to go get 9 or 12 outs. And if he can do that, then you feel comfortable about manipulating the rest of the game. But if you're having to go to your bullpen in the second inning because the midweek starter couldn't get into the game, now you're in trouble. And we've been in both scenarios. And I prefer the one where we get into the 5th inning where we have, where we have some other options versus in the second inning you're counting outs and you're going, how in the world are we going to get 24 more outs? I've only got 4 pitchers available. So it's a challenge. The midweek game is not a lot of fun sometimes to try to manage your pitching staff.
Let's what are you getting to this weekend? Xavier comes in here. They've got a good record. They've got a good RPI. You're a battle to stay in the top 4, but to stay atop the league. It looks like, just a quick glance, and I know Matt McCormick is a pretty good first baseman. They hit the ball out of the ballpark. I know that some of the dimensions are a little wonky in this league, but they got 75 home runs. They got 5 guys that have double-figure home runs. What are you getting this weekend from the team from Cincinnati?
Well, what we always anticipate from Xavier, very offensive, very aggressive, very aggressive. You want to see guys swing hard. They have a bunch of them. They swing very hard. They don't make any bones about it. They're going to be not real creative on the base paths, but they're going to try to outslug you. And, what we have to do is take advantage of the ballpark, and our pitchers got to keep the ball in the middle of the field. It's pretty hard to drive the ball out straightaway center at Charles Schwab Stadium. So our pitchers got to keep the ball in the center of the field, and we got to keep the extra base hits at a minimum. And I think if we can do those 2 things, easier said than done against a good team like this, I think we can keep the score down, because I just don't like our chances if we get into an 8-7, 9-8 game.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we can't win those, but I think we got a better shot if we can get it into the 5-3, 6-4 kind of a scenario versus those high scoring games.
Yeah, and kind of with that too, I wanted to get your feel for this team this year on the base path. A lot of the little things you guys do offensively too, and then manufacturing the guys on base and knowing that you can trust guys to handle the bat in the proper situations. Do you feel like that is also something that is becoming a strength, especially in a series like this, that if you can kind of play it on your terms, that could sort of be an advantage for you?
We really struggled with that short game stuff early in the season. And I'm finding out that this new wave of players coming through, they haven't really done a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
But whether it be the high school or whether it be the junior college level or whether it be their travel ball scenarios. So when they come into our program and we believe in the bunt game, we believe in the hit and run game, there's a lot of teaching that has to take place. And we were not very good at that early.
Mm-hmm.
We've been really good at it the last 2 or 3 weeks. And I think that's one of the reasons why you're seeing our ability to score runs increase. So I'm really pleased with how we're executing the hit and run and the bunt game. And we're doing a really good job on the base pass. Not so much with stealing bases.
Running.
Because you look at our number, you go, oh, okay, it's average, it's okay. But ability to go first to third has been really good this year. And to me, that's a big part of base run.
Hey, Coach, we appreciate your time as always. Looking forward to this weekend, especially Saturday night. That's always a neat event at the stadium, and that'll be a fun series this weekend against Xavier. And good luck, Ed.
Thanks a lot.
That's Ed Service, Creighton baseball coach. They're in first place. They've won 4 in a row. The way the Big East looks right now is UConn is, they have been the torchbearer, and they have been, the one team that gets into the mix of, hey, if there's going to be somebody that's going to host out of this league, it would be UConn. Well, you enter the last month of the year, and Creighton's in a good spot, and they've ridden the roller coaster. But now the schedule gets tougher because the front end had the Villanovas, the St. John's, and the Butlers, the teams that are at the bottom of the league. So now you get Xavier, and then at the end of the month, or at the end of the regular season here in a couple weeks, you get UConn. Xavier is 27-17. They're 8-4 in the league. They got an RPI of 57. UConn is 17th in RPI. They're 8-3 in the league. Creighton is 9-3, 22-15 overall, and playing better, more consistent baseball of late because they're 7-3 in their last 10.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons I brought that up to Ed there to end is it was always one of those things you could always set your watch to, no matter who the hitter was in the 3-hole. If they had a guy on, that you were probably using your 3-hole hitter, even if it was one out, you got a guy on that was going to be used to bunt over and try to play the percentages, try to manufacture. And it's something that there's a lot of trust with the way that they do it. It's interesting, as he brought up there too, sort of that inability early on. And, we think about these guys having to still maybe teach what we would consider maybe some of the fundamentals in handling the bat in those situations. But you heard it and kind of brought up the first to third element too, the ability to go middle opposite, the ability to hit away and allow guys, unless you're a lefty, being able to get the ball into right field and having those opportunities. Like that's when I think of the offense being successful for Ed Service teams, it's being able to do those things more right than wrong. And seeing that they were struggling with that early, and if that's starting to come together now, these series especially coming up against teams like that maybe have a different offensive approach than what Creighton has, that can be huge in that ballpark. So keep your eye on what they're able to do once they get runners on, especially with a lot of these key series at home.
Hey, midweek mess is tonight in Lincoln. They play the team from Fargo. I almost said madness. For a lot of people, it is. I'm telling you, the splits this year with Nebraska baseball, the weekend compared to Tuesday and Wednesday are unbelievable.
Yeah.
So
stark contrast.
You have no idea what you're going to get tonight. You have any idea who's starting?
No clue.
So
no clue.
Our discussion with Ed trying to develop that number 4 guy to pitch on your Tuesday or Wednesday game.
Yeah.
Nebraska has options, but they haven't even
TBD versus TBD.
Yeah. So, but then usually if you have a little media time with Will, he'll tell you who's going to throw
he'll
first.
hint to it.
They haven't mentioned anybody because I would think Olsen, Kaminska, Walsh is their trio when they go to play a huge series against Maryland this weekend. So does that mean pitching tonight will be Rocket?
That would be I would say that'd be their lead candidate. And this is the part we talked about a little bit yesterday too. You are moving that game that midweek game back, or I should say up. Well, no, it'd be back to a Wednesday as opposed to a Tuesday as far as the time in between that you have between midweek and your series. So does that also, losing that 24 hours of preparation for the weekend, does that change how you want to go about it tonight? Are you going to see a strict all-staff type approach tonight as opposed to if this game was played on a Tuesday?
I do give him credit. They haven't gone, hey, we're playing a 9-inning game, so 8 guys are going to throw.
Right.
And they shouldn't have to be that way. They have enough depth that they should be able to get 3 innings out of one guy. I mean, this is kind of feels like the Drew Christo night.
Yeah. And
for another opportunity for him to pitch in a midweek game, like a couple of innings like he did against Omaha last weekend.
And is that the next part of the process, is rolling him out there as a starter as opposed to saying, hey, go get us, 2 through 5?
Maybe next year.
Yeah. I'm all in the process for Drew Christo and stacking positive appearances on positive appearances. They've done that very well. You're probably right. The getting the ball to start a game in that process is probably something a little bit further down the road, but I would expect him to be a big candidate to eat up some innings tonight. But you're probably right. I would say Brockett would most likely be your lead candidate tonight.
I mean, could you make a case that whoever pitches tonight would be a guy that would start on a Sunday of the Big Ten tournament to get you to the NCAA tournament?
Yep. And I think you're still trying to find that.
All right, 9:23. Brandon Vogel is going to join us here momentarily from Hail Varsity. We got lots to discuss with B. Vogues, and still more to discuss with all of you. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
I've got one.
All right.
Malort.
Oh, Nick, you suck.
It's not as grand or good as yours, but
Formula One. See you later, stupid ass sport.
All the things you could have uninvented, you pick a liquor that very few people drink.
Bad.
I know it's bad. But
come on, Nick.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from Canoyer Garden Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Potential for a top 10 day Wednesday. Chilly early on, but expect nothing but sunshine. Fantastic in the afternoon with just a light breeze. Highs in the low to mid 70s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Get to the Saul's Warehouse Liquidation Auction May 6th and 7th, downtown Omaha.
Peerless Energy Systems is Nebraska and Iowa's locally owned and operated authorized solar air compressor distributor. Peerless Energy Systems provides products and solutions for compressed air systems, helping companies in manufacturing, food processing, transportation, auto body repair, car dealers, and more. Driving industry efficiency through service, support, and relationships, let Peerless Energy Systems help you increase efficiency with your compressed air systems today. PeerlessEnergy.com.
O'Reilly. Improve visibility and save $8 instantly when you pick up a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Bosch Icon premium blades can help you see better and drive safer. And our professional parts people will install them for you for free. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, this is Kathy Kenoyer with Kenoyer Garden Center. The beauty and color of spring is in our greenhouse, featuring thousands of gorgeous hanging baskets and hundreds of varieties of Kenoyer grown product. Come in and talk with our family of employees who will help you find what you're looking for. Whether it's home decor, annuals, perennials, shrubs, tropicals, or vegetables, we have it all. Kenoyer Garden Center is located between Highway 370 and Cornhusker on 66th Street in Papillion. Open daily, 9 to 7.
At Kenoyer Garden Center, everybody's got a green thumb.
Can I take your order?
Can I get a small chicken sandwich meal?
Sorry, we only sell jumbo meals.
Same size for everyone. Sometimes one size fits all isn't right for you. Same goes for your mobile plan. At Cox Mobile, get what you actually need and start saving with the right data plan. If your needs change, switch between plans at any time. Now that's something different.
Thanks. I think I'll go get something different.
Cox Mobile. We're different because you're different. Visit cox.com/mobile to learn more. Postpaid Cox internet required. Other restrictions apply.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
From basketball to volleyball, baseball to softball, soccer, tennis, and so much more, the Creighton sports season is packed with action. The 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law, covers it all. Each week, we visit with Blue Jay athletes and coaches to hear their stories and document their climb through the Big East Conference. The 1620 The Jays podcast drops each Friday morning and is found at 1620thezone.com and all major podcast platforms. Just search 1620 The Jays. Covering all things Creighton Blue Jays, it's the 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law from 1620 The Zone.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
How did we go this long without a discussion about what was tweeted out yesterday down in Lincoln, that they are replacing the turf fields outside of the Hawks Championship Center, and they're putting in natural grass. And they still will have one turf field outside. Of course, they have turf inside, and then they have Memorial Stadium. How did we go this long? We could have gotten into a great debate about Memorial Stadium will now be all grass.
This is the push.
Yeah, it ain't going to happen.
This is the push.
No, I know you might like grass. I know why they are putting grass outside.
That was a different segment.
What grass? Yeah.
You don't like grass?
What are we talking about?
I don't know, you like
talking
Bermuda?
about Bill Walton.
Like the Bermuda grass?
Well, we can't grow Bermuda here. So the grass surfaces, like when you would play baseball games down like Oklahoma and stuff, and you get that Bermuda hybrid stuff. Oh, I mean, that's like a golf green. That's fantastic. It's like turf, but it's natural.
In this scenario down in Lincoln, I don't know if this was pre-planned before Rule showed up. If it was not, and when Rule got here, they had a discussion with the facilities crew, and they had money in the budget, and they said, we want grass fields outside, which less wear and tear. Now, I don't know that I want to be playing on grass in this part of the country in November. I'll get to that in a moment. But if that's the case, that they looked at the outdoor fields, again, they're still going to have an outdoor all turf field.
Yeah.
That is right there next to the facility. But these will be the two grass fields, like right when you walk out the garage door in the championship center, there's going to be grass. So it's less wear and tear on players. If that is a Rule suggestion, oh my God, they think of everything. Because that's a small detail. Because you spend a lot of time on those fields. And the turf fields, the wear and tear, we already know how the NFL guys feel, that if you're going with less wear and tear on the knees and the joints, and you're going to go on the grass practice field, but you also still have the option to be on turf, because there are 3 all-grass facilities still in the Big Ten.
Michigan State, Northwestern.
Purdue, Penn State, Northwestern.
Is it Michigan State grass?
Michigan State still grass?
I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I know they had talked about changing. So there's 4.
Okay.
So there's 4 schools in the Big Ten that are grass, and then you're going to add 2 with UCLA and USC. So this led to the discussion yesterday of, all right, why don't you do Memorial Stadium? Do Memorial Stadium next. Well, even Iowa went to field turf. Remember, Iowa was one of the last holdouts.
Yep.
Minnesota, outdoors, of course, they have turf. It'd be miserable. Can you imagine having grass in Minneapolis?
No.
Even grass.
You would for a few weeks at
Hey,
the beginning, and that's it.
Grass in Madison. No, it ain't happening. I think it would be of interest, and there would be a little bit discussion. But I think in Lincoln, Nebraska, having it, Memorial Stadium, which used to be way back in the day all grass, you would make a huge financial commitment. I don't think it's that much to flip it from field turf to grass, but the enormity of how you have to take care of it year round, but especially later in the season, how you try and keep it green, how the amount of people that would have to work on it. Because now with a field turf, you don't need a huge facilities group.
Once it's
but
down,
once you have grass,
it's
I
minimal.
mean, look at any NFL team.
Mm-hmm.
They have an enormous grounds crew that take care of the football field year round. And also, I don't like it, on grass fields, this part of the country in college, this time of the year, it looks all beat down. It doesn't look great. I think people get excited about grass fields because it's the optics.
Yeah.
You see grass stains on a guy's white pants, and that's football. You know what? I like football that's played on a good track.
I do too.
Okay, so the field is not completely frozen or slippery.
Right, and that's which I always found interesting about the argument
look at the
going
Super Bowl
on.
right there.
Right. Well, in the NFL, the argument going on about the difference between turf and grass and the wear and tear, as you just pointed out. But Soldier Field, that has always been abysmal. Once you get into November beyond,
You don't like the painted mud green?
Yeah, the painted mud. Then they'll roll out like an extra thing of sod for a playoff game because that's going to be stable. Like I've never understood that. And you talk to anybody who's played there in those months, like they hate it. They absolutely hate it. So yeah, there are certain parts of the country where it makes sense and you can pull it off and that's fine. But I start to worry about the quality of it and going back to maintenance with it. And I'm not going to pretend to be a turf specialist here, but I know even like some of those sand based, like what a lot of the pro like turfs have, like a lot of the pro stadiums that went to natural have a little bit more of that sand base, and so it's got a little bit more give, and it's it's a little bit easier on it. Again, this is one of the big pros for grass fields. I think that's like twice the maintenance of what you would typically get at, say, like a high school field that very few that actually still have grass, like that grass compared to what you see at the pro level, and the amount of money that not only goes into laying that out, but also maintaining it. I'm assuming, I might be way off. Maybe it's less people, but I'm assuming it probably takes even more people to maintain that annually than it did before when you had grass. With the technology, it's still going into that.
And by a tarp.
Yep.
And tarp the field. Now,
think about how easy it is to remove snow off of turf as opposed to grass.
I remember during the COVID year, the Minnesota game, we had 11 inches of snow the night before, 11 inches in Lincoln. They pushed it off, played the game on the field. Now, in September, when the grass is nice and green and it smells good and those white lines and the end zone stands out and that big N on a grass field at Memorial Stadium in September looks great. And then it's still a month later looks great. And then the weather kind of kicks in and it's tough to grow grass. And nighttime, you got heat lamps on the field. Yeah, I'm good with the field turf still in the stadium.
I am too.
And hell, we failed about the whole. We were sold a bill of goods at Haymarket Park. Hey, we're going to be able to grow grass year round. How long did that work? How long did that system? Somebody got to do a story on that.
Right.
So, Nebraska and Jim Abel or whoever got sold a bill of goods, because that is the biggest farce that I've ever heard about. We have the heated field and it's. That thing hardly ever worked.
Yep.
And
I don't even know if it's still like actually functioning right now.
Yeah. And it's, the ballpark's 20 years?
Mm-hmm.
That thing worked for maybe a year or two.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I've been asked that question many times is that still around? And if so, does it work? I said, I think it's still around, but I don't think it works.
First year, they had a great groundskeeper. I think he went to the Astros. Was his name Chuck or Jeff? And he was there for a year. And I remember going back in the control room because it was back in the right field corner. And he's like, hey, this is how it works. And we can turn up the temperature, when we get to February. And he said, come out here in February and you'll hear the grass sizzling because, it is melting the snow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah, this is so cool. It's state of the art, cutting edge.
That was the last time anybody talked about that. I think that thing broke, and they decided, hell, we're not fixing it.
I think you're right.
Hey, Lincoln, Nebraska, you have to play during when it's cold out. We don't.
Yep.
I call before the break. This is Bernie. Hello, Bernie.
Hey, fellas. As much as I'd love to see Nebraska play on grass, do you think Trev Albert would allow Garth Brooks and volleyball to play on a natural grass field?
That's true. That's a great point. He wouldn't. Why would you?
Bernie, you're absolutely right.
That is a great point.
And you also have to understand, Bernie makes a great point. You're not going to put the plywood on top of the grass, especially that close to the start of the season. Or can you imagine if it was natural grass right now and they had volleyball in there and that's August 30th and you put all of that down, you would basically have to redo the field. You'd have to resod it and you play in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So there we go. Bernie is on team no grass in Memorial Stadium.
Yeah. Because it's at softest right now. Yeah, that would not be good.
Here's another thing that will prevent grass being the permanent fixture at Memorial Stadium. I heard Trev say this, and I think it was with Sip and Robin and Gascan, is there are, after the success of the Garth Brooks show, there are more promoters that are reaching out to Nebraska to put on a stadium show at Memorial Stadium. I honestly, I'm surprised that we've gone this long post Garth Brooks and the success and the drunkenness without nudity and, being a debacle.
Like Taylor Swift
debauchery, I should say,
making her stop here.
So it went over well. They made a little
tease
money.
the Swifties in Nebraska.
They made a little money. That we've not had another stadium show at Memorial Stadium.
Yeah.
But Trev did say that people have reached out to Nebraska to find out about the availability of Memorial Stadium. Now, last year they replaced the turf, so they couldn't host anything.
That's true.
And that also has another thing. They're not just going to put in brand new field turf and have the expense for that, and all of a sudden say,
yeah, we're good. No, it makes sense to have the grass fields there, the wear and tear portion of it, and then preparing for an opponent that you're going to be playing on grass. Yeah, that's fine. But it doesn't need to be in the stadium. It just doesn't.
All right, so the hopes and dreams of having grass in Memorial Stadium, you're going to have to wait till
Bernie's right, though. Concerts are gone.
All right, B-Vogues coming next.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Big names, big games. We've got them all. 1620 The Zone.
It's your time for higher education, not higher debt. And it all starts with a scholarship application to Metropolitan Community College. Every year, MCC awards more than $3 million in scholarships to students. In less than 5 minutes with a single application, you can apply for all the scholarships available to you. It's your time to path forward. Let MCC show you the way. Apply today at mccneb.edu/scholarships.
How powerful is the Cox network? So powerful that one day the internet will let your doctor perform miracles from thousands of miles away,
Connecting to remote operating room.
giving a whole new meaning to the term house call.
Operation complete.
The Cox network, with gig speeds everywhere. It's internet built for tomorrow, today. Cox, bringing us closer. In Cox serviceable areas, speeds vary and are not guaranteed. Cox terms apply. Other restrictions may apply.
Everyone, Josh Peterson here for my friends at Kugler Vision. Beautiful spring weather has arrived, which means summer is right around the corner. This is the perfect time for you to take advantage of the great deals that they have at Kugler Vision. Why do glasses and contact wearers from all over Nebraska travel to see the folks at Kugler Vision? Because they tackle tough vision problems. Schedule a consultation today, 402-558-2211 or KuglerVision.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/radio. That's forhims.com/radio for your free online visit. forhims.com/radio.
Watching a ball game at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is pretty awesome. Oscar's offers the MLB package, so your team is always on their upgraded audio-video system, and nothing is better than watching the game with a cold frosty one, Oscar's Pizza, or award-winning char-buffed wings. And with daily lunch and dinner specials, it's really a no-brainer. So get ready to watch your favorite team play ball at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road, and takeout at 162nd and Maple.
The Blue Jay Zone is brought to you by Barry Law. We're in it to win it. After their 10-0 loss April the 10th at Kansas State, the Creighton offense has started to show a more aggressive approach. The result, the batting average has climbed 21 points as a team, and the Blue Jays are hitting .340 over their last 8 games. The offensive surge comes at a perfect time as the Blue Jays start the month of May by facing off against Xavier, soon to be followed by UConn, as the battle for the Big East regular season championship is on.
Winning comes without a guarantee. Focus, discipline, and extraordinary effort make winning more likely. Sometimes our greatest wins come from major setbacks. Coming back from a serious injury is a win that requires teamwork. At Barry Law, we're in it to win it.
If you have been seriously injured in an accident, call Barry Law today. 402-999-7777.
Harris Council Bluffs presents Brett Michaels, Saturday, May 20th at Stir Cove. Get tickets and check out the full entertainment lineup at stircove.com. Stir Cove is an all-ages venue.
It's spring. Now is the best time to shop at Lenahaw for all things garden or landscape. Our garden center is filled with the largest selection of homegrown plants, flowers, trees, and more. The area's best mulch and soil available for delivery and pickup. Rooted in quality, unmatched value. Lenahaw Nurseries, 192nd and Center.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I felt like on Sunday night that as the portal window, the second phase came to a close, and I felt like the Jim Nance, with that, the portal is closed and we can move on to business. But it is still very active. I mean, the portal never sleeps. But from Nebraska's standpoint, we're going to go a couple of different ways here. What position group, and correct me if I'm wrong, B. Vogues, I think the only position group that Nebraska does not have at least one portal guy out of in this last portal cycle is running back. But if you're looking at constructing a roster, what position group or two do you think that Nebraska can't make a habit out of finishing one season and then looking for portal help in that position group?
I think in an ideal scenario, you would not need being the key word, portal help on the offensive line. And, talked about this kind of a couple of different times, I think, and it's so apparent when you look at the portal in kind of a national sense that those offensive linemen, which, it's a little bit different if you're going to take a flyer on a kid who's maybe a redshirt freshman. It's just like, this spot's not for me. I'm going to try someplace else. But those guys that have experience are like gold in the portal, and it's really competitive to get them, particularly in this second window. I mean, Purdue had a guy who's going to be at UCLA, and they had a defensive lineman who's going to play at USC. Guys that kind of just played a lot of football at Purdue. Not the big splashy names that you would recognize if you're just kind of a general fan of another team in the Big Ten. And away they go, and they're going to play probably pivotal roles for two programs that have pretty big seasons coming up. That's what it's like out there for linemen on both sides of the ball, really. So if you can avoid having to go that route, I think that's the way to do it. If you can supplement from there, well, great. But you don't want to have to count on it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I know only time will tell. Speaking of portal offensive linemen, but when you think of Ben Scott, do you feel like Nebraska got one of those guys in Ben Scott?
I do think so. He's kind of that classic profile of a portal lineman who you look at it, and offensive line stats are not the most fun thing to look at anyway. But just look at the amount of time they've lost, like career games or career starts. That tends to weigh pretty heavy. For those guys when they enter the portal. Max Olson at The Athletic wrote a great story, I think, about an Appalachian State offensive lineman who kind of entered the portal to see what he could see and just got a flood of interest right away.
Did Nebraska win the portal?
Good question. It's not all that splashy. I think if Jeff Sims is what this coaching staff thinks and hopes he can be, I think we could get to the point where we'd say yes, but it's not one of those where you're like, and I think this is tough to do in a year one scenario because you're trying to assess your needs, not just address them. So it might be an incomplete at this point, but I definitely don't think they lost it. Looking at the players who have departed from Nebraska, I still think the toughest one, the toughest hit they took was probably Ernest Hausman in terms of just ultimate ability.
Yeah, that kind of it's funny you bring him up because I was going to ask you more surprised of the A.J. Allen or Casey Thompson departure. It's funny how we forget about Ernest Hausman, but yeah, just using those two in the recent losses for Nebraska, which one maybe surprised you more?
Neither of them were total shocks to me. I think, maybe Thompson. When you look at Allen, he was a guy that Nebraska got to flip, and he came with a position coach who's no longer here. I mean, he wasn't somebody that I think the rumor mill was all that active on, at least, the real rumor mill, if that's a thing. With Casey Thompson, he just kind of looked at the situation and said, well, it's not ideal that he's not here and able to kind of show what he can do alongside Sims and the rest of those quarterbacks. So if I had to choose one, I think it's probably still got to be Thompson for me, but both of them added up when you stopped and thought about it and kind of got over the initial announcement.
Does it change business in the offseason with Jeff Sims is quarterback one, and there's no doubt?
I think it does. Having Casey Thompson, having two quarterbacks who have played as much football in Power 5 conferences as they do was always looked like something of a luxury. You don't have that now, so you lost a luxury, but it does offer a little bit of clarity, I think, and it allows this team to kind of come together even more than I think they did through the spring behind one guy. So there can be some upside to that, I do think.
If you look at Nebraska now in the roster management and what kind of lies ahead, we know that they're in a unique position to where, kind of call it the retirement package, where you maybe don't retain a scholarship guy on the team, but they can remain at school, and how Matt Rule kind of wants to go about that. I mean, where do you kind of see maybe the next part of this offseason when it comes to roster management now for Matt Rule and this team?
Yeah, so I think based on the numbers that we know at this point, which we're all kind of trying to view from the stands a little bit, they're still over the scholarship limit. So there's gonna have to be a couple of those, but this transfer portal as we're into, I guess, the second real year, the first year of the windows, like it's become tough. Like it's a thorny thing to wrestle with, and I'm not just talking about kind of like what's happening at Colorado, but this kind of forced retirement package. And this is kind of what we knew things were going to be, but it doesn't feel, maybe I'm just being traditional and nostalgic here, it doesn't feel all that collegiate to me, but that's the reality. And I think the thing that I like about Coach Rule and this staff in this regard is I have a lot of faith in their professionalism in those discussions. It doesn't feel like, hey man, sorry, we need to go get somebody else, so it's time for you to go. Like I do think they have the athlete's best interest in mind.
All right, so I want to play general manager on the radio in constructing Nebraska's roster. So they're going to be at 85. There are some players that have taken the retirement package, or when graduation happens this month, then you'll find out their graduate transfers. So they're going to get below, and there's probably going to be a couple of candidates that they're going to give a scholarship to. They're either going to put on scholarship or they get a scholarship for the last year. But as I'm looking at the roster construction, and I'm also looking at the portal, and man, I'm looking at some big-time wide receivers that are still in the portal that are difference makers. Talk me off the ledge here about the wide receiver position, because this is a unique position because of a first-year head coach, his age. He does have enthusiasm, but he's got an interesting challenge from the standpoint. He got a weird room, Brandon, because you've got Billy Kemp as wide receiver 1 and Marcus Washington. Xavier Betts is probably 3. Isaiah Garcia Castaneda is in there, and then Fleeks. Well, you've got all those guys that are 5 veterans, Xavier being the youngest as a sophomore, and then you're going to have 6 freshmen that are showing up. So that room is a little bit weird it's kind of like, it's like on a teeter-totter in terms of experience. And I saw Jalen Lloyd running track yesterday. I love his speed. Malachi Coleman's not going to finish the track season, but he is going to be there in the fall and could play an important role. How would you assess this wide receiver room? Do they need more, or are they comfortable, you think, with what they have?
Yeah, it's the second piece of it. I think they're comfortable. The degree to which how bullish they are about some of those freshmen that are going to arrive in June is the unanswerable question for me at the moment. Like, I think if they were able to get some interest for a player who's available, I think you look at adding a wide receiver there. It's not a must-have. It would make you feel a little more comfortable, or at least it would make me feel a little more comfortable going into the fall. So, I mean, hey, Colorado lost 2 pretty good wide receivers. How about one of those for a Alante Brown trade?
Yeah, so Tyson is one of their better wide receivers that's in the portal. He's on my list as well. There's just like kind of the Jordan Addison late edition last year at USC from Pittsburgh. If you're going wide receiver hunting, there are some guys out there that could come in and play in the Big Ten.
There absolutely are, and we'll see what happens with Michigan State. Keon Clark, like, it seems like he was in, and now maybe he's not. I haven't seen any update on that today, but somebody like that, these guys that have 500-yard seasons, yeah, maybe they're not Jordan Addison, but that's the type of player that I think Nebraska could really benefit from. Well, a lot of teams could, and it's part of the reason why I like Billy Kemp. He's not out there as a 1,000-yard receiver in any of his 1 years, but played a lot of football, and you just feel good about plugging somebody like that in.
Hey, one final one here. As I was saying, football nirvana earlier with the announcement of the college football calendar for the playoff, and then in 2027 they've got to figure out the calendar. Do you think that week 0 in college football in the next 3 years will become week 1?
I think it could. It makes a ton of sense. Like, Labor Day weekend, college football, kind of having that as its official kickoff is nice. I enjoy having the games spread out over, having a Sunday and having a Monday game to watch. But trying to build in another potential week off, another potential bye week for players, I think becomes important as the number of games expand. It's part of the reason I think we got a change I didn't particularly like with the clock rules after first downs, but that's a whole other
save that for next week.
So, yeah, that's a big one, I think.
Oh, really? You think that is
I mean,
no, go ahead. You can expand on that.
But yeah, I mean, one of the things I really love about college football, and one of the reasons I think like I don't watch all that NFL is like it's not just it's not like games for me. No, I don't have to play them and put my body on the line. But it totally changes the in-game strategy with not being able to stop that clock. I mean, I know it's going to happen within the last 2 minutes, but really the last 2 minutes are just kind of the big finale. You start looking at the last 4 or 5 minutes. It feels like a pretty significant change to me to have that clock running. I mean, when I watch the NFL and we get down to the 2-minute warning, it feels a lot of times like the games are over at that point.
Save that. We're going to get in deeper into that next week because I was looking, you're maybe lopping off about 7 to 10 plays, but it does in terms of the strategy. I don't know that everybody can handle it. We'll save that discussion for next week. I always appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great week.
You too, guys. Thanks a lot.
That's Brandon Vogel from Hale Varsity. Yeah, we haven't really touched much on that. We haven't even looked at it from the gambling side, if it will affect the unders.
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
But there's probably about 7 to 10 plays that you'll take off on a normal college football game with the clock running after first down. All right, a couple of things as we close here, and then the crossover. Joel Embiid is going to play tonight in Game 2 between Boston and Philadelphia. So if you got Philadelphia on FanDuel plus 10.5, how you doing?
Hey.
And then also Creighton has got a commitment. Jonathan Lawson, who made a visit earlier this week. They recruited him out of high school. He's from Memphis. 6'6", got a 7'1" wingspan, 4-star. He is committed to Creighton as a transfer from Memphis. And now you're going to have to do a little bit of math at Creighton with 3 guys that have their name into the NBA pool. One ain't coming back. Kaluma, I'll play Kaluma one-on-one if he comes back to Creighton.
Right here in the parking lot.
Put that.
Note that after you eat your banana.
Oh God!
Now I'm not saying I'd beat him. He'd crush me.
But you'd show up.
I just don't expect him to come back.
You'd show up and bow up.
No, you just get 1 point.
That's a good pickup for Creighton for depth. We'll discuss more of that tomorrow when we're with you at 6.